It's the intergalactic soul, the honorable brother, the revolutionary yourself, Darius, Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m. and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 120 of Power Bombshells. I am Sam, that is Mel. We are just two broads talking about the wrestling that we watch. And so last week I said that we've had 2 weeks of shows with special guests, and last week I said that we didn't have any more. But surprise, we do have one. And he'll be joining us momentarily. We're glad that he was able to make some time for us today. But we'll talk to him in just a moment. And first of all, Mel, that hat is fantastic. So
y'all have Bob to thank for finding this one.
Well, he did a great job.
He said he found a box of hats. So that was a forgotten box of hats. So we may be saved for the next few.
There you go.
Episodes.
You can make it through the whole year with your gimmick, your hat.
I'm gonna pretend that box has like 100 new hats in it.
There you go. Perfect. Then you'll be good for your gimmick is saved.
Well, if I don't show up with a hat, people get upset.
They do.
They're like, "Where's Mel's hat?" And it's like, "Well, I
ran out.
I don't have any more. No one super chats as I can't buy hats."
Yes,
shameless plug right there. That's what that was.
Yeah, we never plug our super chat.
We forget, but
you want to contribute to the Mel needs new hats or her gimmick fund.
Yeah, there we go. If you want me to keep wearing the hats, you got to help me out here, folks.
There you go.
Have you seen the prices?
I haven't looked at the prices of hats in a while because I don't wear them, but I'm sure
with this inflation.
So you went to an indie show last night, right?
I did.
How was it?
A good part of the day, actually, kind of like hanging around the indie show too, which was really fun, and it was great. It was wonderful. CCW. I got a big shout out to YouTube and Brooklyn's World for showing me the ropes yesterday. Mission Smith's kids are my favorite people in the world now. They are very talented. Shout out to them for hooking me up with all the knows. Like I have all the best channels now. So
good. That's awesome.
It was great to meet a lot of the people involved with the promotion, and it was really cool. They look like they're going to come back to Richmond. They're going to be at my Evolve venue coming up in July, which we definitely want to go to. But they continue to put on really great matches. My new favorite tag team on the indies is these two kids called the Dub Club. Ryan Mathias and KJ Reynolds are their names, and they little bit like Baby Bucks vibe. They were the ones that wrestled the Motor City Machine.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that the ones who wrestled Motor City?
Yes, they're great. And the kids love them. And one of the things I love about this promotion is it's very engaging for everybody. Like there's old guys that show up regularly, but there's like our brewery sponsored the event, helped sponsor the event. And so they brought his family, his wife and kids all came. And he has an older daughter, but he has younger daughters. And they would not stop. Like they got high fives and stuff, and they would not stop talking about it. It was so cute. I'm like, so cute. They loved it. Yay, new wrestling fans. So it was very cool. It's big shout out to those guys, like Will at Green Time. Like, I mean, it all went to dog. It's called Saving Destiny. It's a dog rescue.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you said it was a charity show for a dog rescue or something. That's awesome.
And I actually talked to the promoter, and he's like, I just was trying to figure out a way that I could help animals and help like this area in my town have.
That's like the perfect thing for us. It's wrestling and helping dogs. That's
definitely
right your alley and mine.
Completely. He was amazing. It was so funny because it was like, what am I good at? Wrestling. I'm a wrestling nerd. I'll promote this. And it's fantastic.
That's very cool.
It was so great. Everything about it was so much fun, and being able to be a part of it with everybody and getting to know my community a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm
so excited that they're already talking about coming back. And yeah, just big shout out to all of them. Really great. And the matches are great. They've got some talented people on that roster. It's
cool.
I'm excited for them. And I'm excited to keep going.
Exciting. I'm glad to see that.
Local wrestling.
I was gonna say, I know you've had a hard time finding wrestling, so I'm glad that you were able to find that. And I want to bring up this comment real quick from USVA guy about get ready for G1. We will talk about it. I stayed up last night because I realized what time it was, and I was like, wait a minute, I bet G1 announcements are coming. So I stayed up to get the G1 because I saw the Noah WWE announcement. And I was like, oh, crap. And I was like, G1 should be coming soon. And so I waited and stayed up for it. So we will definitely talk about it. And I'm ready for it. And it loves your Kermit hat.
Thanks. Yeah. Congratulations.
Speaking of local wrestling, I have a show next week that I'm going to a week from yesterday. Ashe 4 will be here. And that's the perfect segue to bring in our guest if he is ready. So welcome back to the show, Darius Lockhart. We are so excited to have you today and really excited for Ashe 4. There's going to be some really good stuff. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. A little, busy, but making sure I am on all tabs right now. I legit was getting our Father's Day post ready because it is still my
Oh,
so I was just
do we need to give you a minute? We can bring you back.
We're here.
Okay. I was trying not to take I know that you've got I think you have another podcast that you're doing later today, right?
Yeah, it's a busy
okay.
day.
And so I was like, gotta get him on. I was like, I know you're in promoting mode, so we're trying to don't want to take up too much of your time, but we really appreciate you making time for us once again.
I appreciate you guys having me and letting me promote the show and utilize you guys' platform as a place where we can, just put some highlights in on it, make people, want to be able to come and attend. And that's the important part that, they're able to part of it. So thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Yeah. And, I've been fortunate enough to attend all of the Ashe shows, and they are incredible every time. And Mel has been able to purchase them since she is not in the area. And so she's able to see them too. So that, so she knows what's going on, and we get to share our excitement together. And this next week's card is just incredible. Every time Darius releases a card, I'm like, how does he keep? I don't even ask how does he keep doing it, because I know that it's just everybody wants to come work with Darius. And then we see, we've talked about, there's the matches that are just dream match type things, but then we have, if you've been watching all the shows, there's storylines that are building, and so we're getting to see some continuity there, which is a really cool thing to see. And so I like having the mixture of just the cool matches that are just because you can have cool matches, but then I like that there's also the matches that have the storylines to keep you invested, especially because of the way the last show ended. We saw, and that's gonna spill over into this one. And we're also seeing Ashe has been working with For the Culture. We have the I know that you're going to be doing some stuff with Paris's Bumping as well. And so I just it's really cool to see how far, and the show's only been around. I mean, I know you've been working behind the scenes for a very long time, but the show itself has only been around since December, and we're already seeing all this cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. No, that's and it's all about, like I said, collaboration, community. That's the way things are able to happen. It's so funny, Billy Dixon calls himself the business, and you basically plugged Billy Dixon back to back 3 times. Him having the pin for the Culture this year was a big, made the collaboration easier. It made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I know, even with the former person who was booking it, I knew there was a good relationship there. So we thought we can always, build the bridge when we get there. But the collaboration I've had with Billy Dixon, and even though his personal issues have kind of taken a big chunk of the show, especially we saw last year with his brawl with Darius Carter. I was happy to work with him and create a bridge between For the Culture and what we're doing here at Ashe, as well as bringing in collaboration with Paris's Bumping. Billy called himself the businesses for a reason, and I enjoy our relationship, and we're able to continue to make things for our community, whatever that I guess expands itself to, even if you're just a wrestling fan or whatever, if you're local to Charlotte. We're happy to be able to do things like that because, like I said, this early on in a wrestling promoters like a wrestling promotion's lifespan, it's usually unusual to see this much collaborative effort. But even with our production team, we're working with some of the people from Enjoy. We're working with some of the people from other places in North Carolina. You're seeing kind of curate. So I think the more we can be hand in hand on things, the better the product can be. And I thank you for the compliment about the story continuity. Sometimes, the past 15 years of independent wrestling, I think there's been a unnecessary focus on matchmaking, dream matchmaking. And I know that sounds cool at first. Matchmaking was wrong, matchmaking, but there's no, anybody can be a matchmaker. There's nothing, everyone's having 5-star matches. These are probably the best athletes in pro wrestling you've seen in a long time, will consistently across the board from, a large margin. So, a 5-star match happens every week. We got to have more than that. And you can go get it from Prestige. You can go get it from PWG. You can get it from everywhere. So Ashe has to give you something different. And when I thought back to, independence, like I said, 15 years, how many stories that are rivalries that I could count and really remember that we like to talk about as well, because some people got outed. So it's just like one of those things. Okay, how many people do we have left that we really remember? And I think, Generico and Steen, I remember some of the work that Walter used to do. Yeah. But other than that, the stories, the arcs are few and far between. So I wanted to kind of bring that back to pro wrestling and hopefully reward the viewer if you are consistent with our viewership, as well as have a fun match every now and then. There's time for that, but I like to not insult the intelligence of my audience to go, well, they're not going to remember anything. You remember things, and it means something to you. So I like to respect that.
Definitely. Sometimes you remember things like Movie Mike's 30-second match that he doesn't like to be reminded of.
No
one lets them forget it. No one lets them forget it.
No, and it made me laugh because
fans are, but that's the world. That's wrestling fans. I love that's something. Just real quick is that one of the things I can super appreciate about CCW and Paul Bowser, Cat Daddy Paul Bowser, who is doing the shows. He actually, the person who just took over on the first anniversary show. They've been here 3 years now. That's been a 3-year storyline that they've been doing between heel faction and one of their regular wrestlers that's in there. And so he just won the belt and he had won the heavyweight title, and he just had his first defense last night in our town. I was able to go on, just like with you guys, I'm able to go on the YouTube channel and see everyone's promos, and they reminded your channels are very similar. Like, they're a little older than you, but the idea was very much the same. And I was like, oh, this is what I like about it, is it's not just a bunch of matches. And much as I loved my Evolve and, all those things, it was like, but they didn't cut a lot of promos on Evolve, and they didn't do a lot of the stuff that pro wrestling does. These guys talk on the mic, and they have press guys inside the situation. And it's so much more fun, and the families can follow it, because little kids have been following that storyline for 3 years. Well, if they were 8, they're 11 now. They're going into middle school, and they're taking that with them to middle school. And so it's that's 3 years. That's awesome. And it feels great. And that's why I love you guys too. And big shout out to the effort put in, because I know that can't be easy, especially when you're also part of the storyline too.
Yeah. No, it's great. One of our commentary partners, Kazim Femiyide, who does a lot of work with, Wale Mania. He used to do Palooza, writer for Complex, former WWE writer, very accomplished man, has a podcast now that's really well. You can check him out at Kazim on all social medias. He has a great saying that he goes, when you drive down the street and you see 2 people fighting, a lot of people stop and they wonder why. Pro wrestling gives them the why. And we can't ignore that. You know what I mean? We can't ignore that. So I think that's important. It's integral to what we're building here. But I always felt like I wanted Ashe to be more than just a wrestling promotion. And I don't want to minimize wrestling promotions. No, but there's so much more you can do, especially with the world of content now you can create. And we're not only I see the Treehouse Lee video playing behind me. That wasn't my job, but it was another creative. if we can platform creators who edit well or work with people, or if I myself can just try to help build a world that you guys can sustain and invest in, that means the world to me. We have some of the best production team members that we brought on. A guy named Eugene Bennett, who works under Shaded Media. He's helping us film these, and then we do edits together. Some of the video package you saw earlier, like the Tasha Steele's promos and stuff like that, and the Ian stuff. That's a collaboration between me and Gene. He films, I direct, I edit it later on, and then there we go. But it is a lot of work, and I'm trying to find that balance because as much as it's fun to sit in the dark in the computer all day, I need to be in the gym too. So there's a little healthy balance I'm trying to figure out. But right now it seems to be worth it because it's good to see people appreciating the content. Even as we continue to get eyes on it, hopefully.
Yeah, and the content that's there is like another thing that I like about the Ashe content is like it's not just promos. Like it's the like you see here with Suge. I mean, it's like the 10 things that's in my bag and like that kind of stuff. And so you get to know these wrestlers as well. And I was like, what is their? I think there was something like their top 5 favorite movies or something like that, or TV show, or like there's just been different little categories that are so cool. And so you get to know the wrestlers too, besides just their promos. You get to see like their personalities, and it's just, I think it's a really cool way to obviously it keeps content there, it keeps people like coming back to the YouTube channel, but then you're getting to build these relationships because you're seeing these people doing different things, and you get to see more than just what they are in the ring, which I think is a really cool thing as well.
Absolutely. We talk about representation all the time. People kind of use it as a buzzword now, but representation can be minuscule on a minimal level in terms of just, hey, I heard Suge talk about that movie that I love, and I love that movie too. And now I feel like a connection because this is a man who thinks like me. This is a man who sees things like me. And that is, I don't want to say intangible, but it's invaluable.
It is, and that example that you give reminds me because, like, I know, and I bring it up all the time. There's somewhere I read that or heard Scorpio Sky was saying one of his favorite movies is That Thing You Do. One of my favorite movies as well. And so so I think about like that's a correlation. Obviously I think he's a great wrestler. Like Scorpio is one of my favorites, and I hope they put him back on TV soon. But like that's what I associate. And so I always joke like I want to have him on the show just so I can talk to him about the movie. Like I don't even talk about wrestling. That's just want to talk about the movie. Yeah. So that's just like it is like this kind of thing that you don't realize that. But yeah, it is, I guess, an intangible, or it gives you something more relatable with them when you're like, hey, they like that thing that I like.
Yeah, and it's not so heavy-handed,
right.
And that's one of my wrestling pet peeves, when someone comes out through the curtain and they're wearing, Batman all over their underwear and Marvel all over their trunks. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but now the person's thinking about Spider-Man, not you. And now the only thing they know about you as performers that, hey, you like Spider-Man too. And you have to think a little bit deeper than that. And you have to work and build a connection. It goes beyond just similarities. But those things, when they're in pockets like this, can help, like I said, facilitate the relationship rather than minimizing you to just a cosplayer. I think I think there's more to it,
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And so with Ashe, and now we're on like we're coming up on the 4th show. So what have you seen and what have you learned kind of since December to now?
I'm learning the art of time management. I'm learning the art of understanding, when it's time to try to make everybody happy, and when it's time to have to, hey, you're gonna have to suck this up and do what I'm asking you to do, brother. There's a lot of those conversations, and I grew up kind of to my detriment, probably a people pleaser. But now, when you're coming to a position of like this, you kind of have to say what you want and mean what you say. And and that's one of those things that's, once again, invaluable lesson I have to kind of lean more into. It's different when you're a performer. You kind of you speak for yourself, but when you're making decisions that affect a lot of people, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that I don't take lightly. So I'm making sure it's the best decision for everybody when I make it. And I do try to allow room for appropriate collaboration, not just collaboration that ends up minimizing what I'm bringing to the table. I can't just give you what you want all the time. It has to be a back and forth. So that's one of the biggest lessons I'm learning. But I'm having a decent time learning it with some amazing performers, and I'm happy that things are going pretty well for right now. Knock on wood.
Yeah, definitely. And and even some of the talent that I've been able to talk to through Ashe, which I appreciate having that platform to speak to so many different people, because I want to use my, I believe in what you guys are, which is, I've told this to Chris, and like, I believe in what you guys are doing. And so I have, a couple platforms through writing and through this. And so I was like, well, then of course I want to use my little platform to give these other people platforms and to talk about what's happening. And I've talked to some of the wrestlers that I've spoken to. I've talked to them about the collaboration with, Ashe and for the culture, and just what it means to have a platform like Ashe, which obviously is extremely important. And then to be able to see that you are able to work with like-minded promotions, and to kind of, you can keep your own identity, but also help each other grow at the same time. And like the talent that I've talked to have really loved it, and they really love being part of Ashe. And I think that that's a thing that I've noticed, or maybe it is because I do some of the media side of stuff, so I'm able to talk to people, but it feels very much like a community and like a family, and that we're all, kind of building this thing together, and we get to be, and like, I think that, and that's another reason, like, I think we want to keep coming back, because, our group of friends, we always were like, we sit there, we talk when we know tickets are going on sale, like we plot out our, like, what seats we're gonna get, and like, so it's something that we look forward to. And it was like, and so it's a really cool thing to have that, and to be able to support you, but also to be able to see incredible wrestling at the same time. And so I'm so happy that it's been going well so far, and I'm sure that you have amazing plans for the rest of the year, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, thank you. I know with some of the things we do, one of the big goals of Ashe was to help people not only really just try to find themselves, but be themselves, that a lot of people don't try to get. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I've seen people kind of go in rooms and see Owen Knight, who's an incredible wrestler, and they go, well, what is the working team captain? And because they don't want to waste time, spending time trying to develop that with Owen, or maybe, understanding what that is, they just trying to put their vision on what Owen should be. Or, I'm using that as an example, but it's not like a real, cool thing. But it's I was realizing that was happening with a lot of my peers, that people go to different spaces and someone doesn't understand what they're looking at. And if I don't understand what they're looking at, I'm the one who goes, hey, help me see it. And if I do understand what I'm looking at, when I go, well, this is fine as is, how do we amplify what you're trying to do? Because there's so many people who go, well, I don't like what you're trying to do, so don't do it here. And it's just more like, yo, I think I understand what language Kevin Knight's trying to speak. I think I try to understand what language Trevor Aon wants to, how he wants to be presented. I think that's one of the strengths of Ashe, that we try to, like I said, collaborate and amplify what people see them as their true selves, really, as their truer selves, rather than trying to just be a placeholder. And that's why we aren't really having people, a whole bunch of talent every different show. Like, I want to kind of get people familiar with these people, this kind of core roster in a sense, but before we amplify, but also want those people coming in, new people coming in, to receive the same treatment. I don't want people use people's bodies and just, guys. I want to be able to have people like, hey, when you come here, there's something for you to say, and there's something for you to do that people can sink their teeth into, and that's important to us as well. So thank you for
and I think that one of the things that really stands out is, and I think I've said it before, is just like you can feel the authenticity when you're there. Like, it's not, I mean, yes, people are characters and things like that, of course, but I feel like it just comes from a really authentic place, and people probably, and I say a lot of it's probably the atmosphere that they're in, this place where they don't have to, pretend or, act a certain way and things like that. They can just come there and they can just be themselves. And I think that's another reason that fans kind of relate to it so well and want to keep coming back and keep supporting, is because it just feels very, because we can, like you said, there's so much wrestling out there, and we can get access to all kinds of things that we couldn't get access to even 7 or 8 years ago. But I think what keeps coming, of course, there's great matches and things like that, and that keeps people coming back for certain people. But I think just having you can feel how authentic it is, and you feel like it's something that you want to, or at least for me, it's something that you want to invest in, and something that you want to keep supporting and coming back to, and seeing what's going to happen next and how it's going to play out, especially because like you said, you've been building these stories, and of course we go back to Billy Dixon and Darius, but there's even obviously there's, the King Bees and the story that they've been telling with Kiera, and now Tasha is involved, and unfortunately Kiera is injured and will not be at the next show, but that's a story that they can still tell, and you can kind of and so it's kind of, we've got to see this build since the very first show, and I think that that's such a cool thing, and I think that it feels like, but it just, I don't know, just again, it feels very authentic to me.
Thank you. We try. We definitely try. And I'm glad you mentioned me. Go. No, please.
I was just going to say, in a time when community is really like we struggle to find community, I think that when we do find it in places like this, that's why everyone wants to lend a hand. Everyone wants to be a part of it. That's why I think what Sam's talking about in terms of authenticity is, to me, it goes to the next level of just having a place where it's like, I know all these people are on the same wavelength as me. Like, we're all in this. Things are crazy right now, and wrestling is crazy right now. And sometimes you just need a good old-fashioned wrestling show. You need to go and have fun and have everything not be so complicated, and and like you said, and be conscious of the talent and the people that are involved with, the people in front of the house and in back of the house and everybody else is involved. Like, doing that will bring out you can feel it. Again, I watch it on YouTube and I'm excited about it. So, and then Sam, of course, I live vicariously through Sam. So.
Yeah.
And the more of these you keep doing, the bigger chances I have of, when I finally visit her, of actually getting to see something like that.
Please. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Definitely.
It's funny. I'll do a teaser, and I think I may end up announcing this. We'll probably be announcing at the show, but it will be. We had a few shows lined up this year, but some of those are even just converting to something else entirely. Where we had a July show that was lined up, and I thought it was a little bit fast turnaround for myself personally, on a personal level. So I wanted to convert it and make it something different. So we're going to see Ashe go into new territories, July 26th, our next date. If you go online and you see X's, like X's, but you're going to see something very different, very cool that wrestling shows really don't do. So I'll be announcing that at the show this weekend, as well as another announcement. That wasn't even my original announcement.
So now I got all these announcements.
Yeah, you need to watch our show. See, this is why people need to tune in here.
Absolutely. But it's going to be something that builds community on a massive level, and I hope it really it really changes people's brains about what we're going to do. So it's really cool. Also, I do want to talk about this one thing. You mentioned Kiera and Hogan being injured. That is an unfortunate circumstance. We have to kind of postpone one of our main events we were going with. As we said, Jonathan Gresham and Shelton Benjamin was the main event because Shelton is Shelton. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
But I think had we not had that match, the easy main event would have been the King Bees and Fire and Flavor. So it's a blessing that this didn't happen when it was the main event, but this was one of our listed main events. It's one of our big 3 matches. We were excited for it. Unfortunately, Kiera's shoulder is it's out of whack for a little bit. We don't know how long it's going to be. I'm not sure about the MRIs, but that's kind of her business too. I don't want to put too much out there. Of course. But she has been kind enough to give us a call in advance, and was really distraught that she wasn't going to be able to make this. It's really broke her heart, because it's nice to hear, but unfortunate circumstances. But she loves Ashe, and I think that's what makes it cool. That she it was just such a thing of, hey, no hard feelings. Of course, I understand your body first. I want to make sure you're healthy and you're good. But we have found an ulterior thing, and I don't know if we were going to be able to get a graphic up as fast, so I might just announce it here, or at least tease it. So we got the King Bees on one side. We are going to keep it a tag match. I thought it was going to be a single match, but instead of a little bit of fire and flavor, there might not be a full fire, but you may get a spark. I'll say that.
Oh, okay. So, I think I caught that tease.
Yeah, if you pick up what I'm putting down, if you're on the YouTube channel and you know who's out here sparking up all over the place recently.
Yep.
Exactly it is. So we'll probably
that's exciting.
But yeah, we wanted to provide an opportunity to someone who looks up to Kiera, and I think it could be an interesting matchup later on. Let's say upon Kiera's return. But until we can do the King Bees of Fire and Flavor, we will be giving you the best we can, and hopefully delivering on a promise. Delivering on a promise of amazing women's wrestling, and that's what.
And I think Yes, and based on
this
that
to be
team,
the right picture.
I didn't add that graphic because we found out that Fiero was not
Oh,
going to
okay.
be, so I didn't
I'm like
even.
going through. I'm like,
No,
oh
didn't even
no!
put it in there because I knew it wasn't happening. So
I
I
was
didn't.
gonna put the ladies match up, and
unfortunately. So we will get that when we
that's
when we do,
fantastic.
which will be great. It'll just build more anticipation and excitement for that. And if we have this match, there you go. It was originally supposed to be Fire and Flava versus the King Bees. This is a story that's been going on since the very first episode, and we are finally gonna get and it'll happen when it happens. We'll finally get it when it happens. But it sounds like this match that you've got in place will be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it, and that's a
I think it'll open up a lot of doors that
for
people
sure
aren't thinking about. So it'd
be
really cool.
Yeah. And then so we'll
you guys have I love that you will have something that you can come back to. That's great.
Absolutely.
That gives you that is something. If you need something later, because things happen all the time. Like that's something that you have in your queue of fun ideas. Like
that pocket. Yeah.
Because she's still part of the community and nobody's gonna forget that she's there. So
no one's forgetting Kiera Hogan.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all.
I'm saying it's like it'll be really exciting and great for her.
Yeah. And then before we bring up the card and start kind of going through that, I do want to pop up this comment that says that everyone should be trying to be better. Community makes it better. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. You can lean on other people to help make you better as well, and to hold you accountable to be that. So that's all what we do at Ashe Wrestling. If my match sucks, tell me my match sucks. If there's none of that, luckily at Ashe, no one's shitting.
No, and there's all the matches have been, and I'm not just saying that's because you're on here, but all the matches I have not seen a bad match at Ashe. Everything is great. There's such, and I get that one thing I really like, and just going to indie shows in general is, of course, seeing the people like. Obviously seeing Shelton is going to be incredible, and I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Gresham and get to see him, and but getting to see these newer talents that I've never seen before, that's how I had never seen the King Bees before Ashe, and now I'm a big fan of theirs. And somebody was somebody on Twitter was like, who do you recommend for a women's tag team? I was like, the King Bees, check them out, they're so cool. And so it's cool to be able to see these people, and then to just see all kinds. And that's the thing. One thing that I like with Ashe is there's so many different types. There's just so many different types of characters and types of wrestlers, and I think it was Kevin Knight this was Kevin Knight that said this, and he was like, just because we are all the same, he was like, just because we're black doesn't mean we're all the same person. We all have different things. And I was like, exactly. And he was like, and you get to see this.
But that's real. If we're gonna take the bandit off, if we're here to talk real, that's one of those things that when people are trying to sign you, it's a lot easier when you wear a grill and a chain, because that's what they think blackness is, and that's what they're okay with blackness being. That's what they're happy to sell you as blackness. Someone who's from the hood or whatever like that, and it has this tragic story, black trauma story. But we've seen it done a million times, but they relegate us to that. But my idea, part of Ashe was, I wanted to not market it as all black, wrestling, because it's so much more than that. People.
Of course.
If I show you the poster and you see all black people, then that's just what you see. But that says more about you than what
Yeah.
If I showed you all white people, if I showed you a poster with all white people, no one would say anything. They would go, "Oh, it's NXT UK. Oh, come to the show." But or it's AEW. But no, it's great. That'd be funny. But it's really if I showed you, it is what it is. You see what you see. But my quiet idea was, if we're all black, then nobody's black. You have to look at what we are and what we're doing, and who we are as people. And that's going to blow a lot of people's minds, because they're not used to seeing that. And they go, "Oh, well, the black guy on the show." Well, which one? Now you have to say, "Oh, the guy who, the movie maker or filmmaker, movie Mike." Or now you have to say the track star, Ian Maxwell. You have to understand who we are behind the demographic number filler. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's really one of those. And not to say that there's a color line here. There's not. There is not. But I'm aware of who I book, and I know that they're serving a purpose. And I just wanted to kind of say, to Kevin's point. Yeah, no one is the same. And that's the beautiful part we get to illustrate here live and in person. I mean, Darius Carter cannot be more different than Rehan Antes, but they're both here and they're both shining. And that's the cool part about it. Even to, I think you said the King Bees. I just want to put them over for a second. And here they are right there. Perfect timing. I didn't even plan.
Yeah, you're so good. You're better than my
yeah, I
graphic.
don't want to sound wrong by any chance, but I've always had a love for the King Bees. I understood. I've kept an eye on them since I think maybe I saw their like rookie year photos. I go, oh, these girls are talented. They're gonna be special. Like before they were the King Bees, I knew them as Danny B and Charity, Kane at the time, but now King. But I've kept my eyes on them as talent I've always wanted to work with. And when the first show, it was supposed to be Kiera Hogan versus somebody different. And I said, and that person wasn't available. And I said, you know what? I'm giving you these options. These are the girls I'm looking at. And Kiera called out Charity. She said, I'll wrestle Charity. I'm very interested in wrestling her. I want to see what I can do. And I said, okay. And this whole thing has fallen into my lap. And I'm more than happy to, take something organic in a moment and just say, you know what? I just realized you got a partner. Let's do it. And not only that, but I don't like to pick too much ahead. We've seen people make mistakes with like championing. Oh, these are my 4 pillars. These are this and this, and something's out. But and that's no shade. That's just really what it is. But I'm so excited to say, there are people that I figured, these might be regulars. These might be people who we can use regularly and build around. But if there were pillars of Ashe, I think the King Bees have become one. And I think I'm so happy to see that because I don't think it wasn't an accident, but it wasn't a plan either. And for them to step up and be such a huge draw, to see the YouTube views and comments, people love the King Bees, and I love the King Bees too. And I'm so happy that if I had to pick faces of Ashe, they would definitely be on the list. They would definitely be up on the front poster. They're amazing.
They're phenomenal. And they're wonderful too, because like they were one of the first people I got to interview, and they like approached me like we were old friends, and they're like, hey, and they're just like I had known them for 10 years, and it was the first time I'd ever talked to them, and they're very sweet people, but also they will beat your ass if they have to.
I mean, Danny B,
don't take them lightly at all. They're incredible, and I love them.
They're great.
I thought that Charity was, the muscle, and Danny was a sweet one, and Charity was going to come in because Charity has a hell of an energy, and she'll put anyone down and good. But Danny B is firecracker that you don't expect. She's a sweet little in my face. She looks like she should be in a pageant, and then but then she opens her mouth and she will beat your ass right there, and I'm all for it. I think that balance is very.
They're so much fun to watch, and I've even some of the women that I've been able to talk to, they've all we've kind of talked about obviously not just being Black women, but also just being women in wrestling. And some of the women who are on here are women who are in the LGBTQ plus community. And so they don't they don't have to fit in a box at Ashe. They can be all 3 of these things, and they don't have to because you see, obviously, you were talking about, sometimes it's the one Black person on the show, and sometimes it's the one women's match that's on the show, and you don't have that here. You have it, there's it's equal as far as their treatment and things like that. It's not like, oh, we have what's on our checklist? Oh, a women's match. We better get one on here or we're going to get in trouble. So it's not that. And I think, and the women that I've talked to have said that it doesn't it's really nice to come into this space to be able to just feel just as important as, the men's matches are, and they get to tell their stories and they get to showcase what it is that they do. And so I think that's been, we're only not even technically 4 shows in. We will be after next week, we'll be 4 shows in, but that's great to have that right off the bat. You can see, you go to an Ashe show and that you're going to see the women being presented just as equally as the men are, and they're going to be able to have free reign to do basically what they want to do. And that they don't have to fit in these little boxes, and they don't have to fit in a 3-minute match. They get to go out there and tell their stories.
Absolutely, and I'm so excited to be able to house that and say that we're doing the work. It makes me very proud that it's working the way I wanted it to, and that women are seeing, people are seeing them. I'm glad we're pulling it off the way I wanted to, because that was important to me going into this. Like I said, you have peers and you're on the road together for so long. You know people, you get to hear their grievances, you see their pain, you see what they're going through, and a lot of times it echoes your pain. And I wanted to. I can't absolve and fix everything. I can't save everybody. But one thing I want to do is, like you said, leave pro wrestling better. Everyone says that cliche, leave it better than when you found it.
Of course.
So I want to be able to do that with us and help with that. I mean, and I love the fact that, you know, like I said, Kiera being a queer woman feels even more comfortable here to express that part of her. I was at Comic-Con yesterday. I was handing out flyers, trying to make sure people, you know, come to the show. There was a HeroCon here in Charlotte. Yeah. Want to give a shout out to him. But so I handed out a flyer to two men, and they stopped. And as I walked away, I heard, you know, I said, hey, you know, I shoot for next weekend, you know, everything Juneteenth or, and they said, I said, I was walking away, so that's what I heard. And I turned around and I said, what's that? And they said, is this going to be like, how gay is this going to be? Is this going to be very gay? Like these are two gay men. And I didn't know that until they said it. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, oh, well, yeah, it's very gay. I said, the people, 3 people on the poster are queer. And they were very excited to hear it. And they were like, oh, awesome. And they asked, they were like, I pointed to Billy and they were like, oh, is he single? And I was like, oh, I said, I don't know. Show Everyone feels welcome to come and to be themselves and also see themselves. And I think they're excited about that. That made me feel so good to be like, you know, I didn't intend it. I don't do it for, like you said, check boxes. Right. But the fact that, you know, Chris Lee sent me a photo of someone, he has a trans friend who were like, hey, I don't really like, you know, I've never been to a pro wrestling show. I haven't really felt safe, but I feel like I can come to this one. And I feel like I have a good time. And they're right. They can. And we're just so happy that it's a space that's that radicalized already, where you can, like, you know, just come and just feel like you are welcome. And that's what you are, you know. So I'm very hyped for that.
Yeah, and then I'll actually we'll circle back to this with it. You know, this is coming on, you know, right after Juneteenth, so it is a Juneteenth celebration. But since you kind of mentioned it just now, like you have the relationship with Paris is Bumping, that I know that you're doing some type of. I don't know if you're just helping present it, and I don't want to get. You don't have to go too much into what your involvement is with that, but I know it's like in association with, but like I think that like I was really, because a friend of ours who was normally in the chat, he's the one who tagged us, and he was like, and he's a cisgender male, and he was like, I have been to Paris is Bumping. He's like, it's the most fun I've ever had at a wrestling show. I hope that you and your sister can go. And then like I sent it to our group chat, and everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe Paris is Bumping is coming to Charlotte. And like it's so I think it's really cool to see like so people like that can see that, you know, hey, wrestling is not just this space for cisgender white people. It's a place where, you know, where you can have, you know, wherever you are, and if you are in the LGBTQIA plus community, if you're in the Black community, if you're in, you know, whatever community that you're in, like you are welcome here. And I think that's such a cool thing to see, and that you guys don't like shy away from that. Like obviously it's not like, oh hey, look at us, we're doing this, but it's just like, hey, we're here, these are the people that are here, you just come be yourself at this show, which I think is incredible.
Thank you. No, I've wanted I can tell you a little bit more how this came together and what you should expect. So with this with Paris is Bumping collaboration, like I said, Billy and I are kind of just buddies that we just kind of bounce off ideas in terms of business, in terms of, you know, work and just things like that. So he was kind of talking about his journey, wanting, you know, with Paris is Bumping, and wanting to do another one, but some of the difficulties and boundaries that were stopping him from doing another one, in just terms of partnerships and the funding and things like that. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to make sure Ashe continuously put themselves as someone that everyone's welcome at. So I wanted to do something like this, period, where it was like, okay, well, we'll do this, like, you know, show that, you know, is more maybe just queer adjacent. But I wanted people to aesthetically, I wanted to play with every kind of aesthetic you can see across the African diaspora. And so eventually we were naturally going to get there, because Black queer people have contributed so much to Black culture that I felt it would be wrong to just keep this as cis and heteronormative as possible. That would just be a disservice to our community and what Ashe stands for. So when he was going on about that, I said, well, Billy, why don't we just make one of the Ashe shows Paris is Bumping? And at first he was hesitant, and, you know, and because he just didn't want to take up space. And I was like, bro, I would be happy to do this, to do it the way you really always wanted to do it. So this is basically just if Ashe, we would have had an August show, but instead of having an August show, now Billy Dixon gets to curate instead of Darius Lockhart curating. So so now this is just, it's Paris is Bumping in this rawest form. Billy is booking the show, Billy is curating it and telling me what he needs, and we're just making it happen and finding out what works and what doesn't. and I'm just trying to facilitate it. And so you guys won't be getting a Ashe neutered Paris is Bumping. You'll get the full deal raw. Ashe is just facilitating in it, so it is technically an Ashe show, but it's also Paris Bumping at the same time.
Gotcha.
So for if you watch all the Paris Bumpies in a row, it will make sense. If you watch all the Ashe shows in a row, it will make sense. But this will be a very cool fusion of the two, and hopefully something we can do regularly.
And that's really cool. And I like that it's going to happen over Pride weekend in Charlotte. Because I was talking to Mel about this last week about how Pride in Charlotte is in August, because I think in June, I think they have stuff already. Like this is if they do something annually, like I guess the weekend that most places, a lot of cities are doing their Pride week. Which I guess the one good thing I do like is that Pride isn't just like we talk. Pride's not just a month. Like it should be all the time. So it's like on the one hand, I was like, you want it to kind of be the same time as everybody else, but then if it with it being in August, then it's like Pride is here all the time. It's not just 1 month a year when you want to slap, rainbows on things to get people to buy it. So I think it makes it feel, more, and I really like that Ashe is doing this. And then, so this show coming up this weekend is a Juneteenth celebration. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if I can do one more thing on the Paris.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
It's perfectly fine. I just want to. We It's funny. I was trying to figure out when to do the show, so it didn't feel like pandering necessarily, but also just actually serve the community that we're supposed to serve. So I knew that June was Pride, but I found out that Charlotte celebrates Pride in August, and that's what I remembered it because I've been to a few Pride parades and as an ally and just kind of supporting. And so I remember I think it's in August, but I was like, but I know Pride Month is June, but so and then I found out Charlotte Black Pride is in July because people don't. I guess most of the spaces in Pride Weekend in Charlotte aren't really adjacent to that aesthetic. Usually it's more kind of whitewashed queer thing. Yeah. But that's what I found out because recently we've been working with the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce in the Carolinas. LGBT
awesome.
Cool. Paris is Bumping. So they were letting me know they were very appreciative of I thank you for doing this. That is something that is rooted in a little bit of blackness because usually that's such a sorry to say a whitewashed Pride weekend that we don't ever really have a space for black.
I have to apologize. Sure. You can say that it is whitewashed.
Yeah,
it is what it is, man. You're just saying the truth.
Absolutely.
It's true.
I try to speak truth to power.
No,
but also,
I know. It's
yeah. So,
right, exactly. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
For me, I just because I call it. I mean, I use that word a lot. That's why I don't like a lot of Sam says, slap a rainbow on it and sell it. I hate that. Just stop. I love this. I love thank you. The attention to detail shows when you said authenticity, it's an attention to detail thing. It's a care, it's a love, it's an empathy, it's an understanding. I think that I just really appreciate what you guys are doing, and I love that is actually what's kind of going on here too. And we could change wrestling, people. No.
Thank you. Sometimes you just got to put the gloves on yourselves. You can't yell at the clouds, and I think
exactly.
I had to yell at the clouds. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to make our own cloud. You know what I mean? But that's really what it comes down to. And thank you for that compliment. Really, thank you for the words and the trust that you put in there. I think that it's just imperative to pull anything off. I think to do a project this scale, you have to have a baseline of empathy and love in order just to make it work. Otherwise, it is everything. It wouldn't be a cash grab if you don't have that at the core, right? Right. So I wanted to make sure the commerce is on board to make sure we can reach the people we need to reach, but also keep us, you never want to come in somebody else's hood and just be like, yeah, this is my block now. It's like, no.
Oh yeah, right. Let me come in here and tell you about your experience because that's exactly what people need right now.
Yeah. No, it's it's okay, Billy is here with me, making sure it's authentic as possible in that way. But also, I'm from Charlotte, Billy is not. So we have to do a fusion dance and make sure that we're doing right by the Charlotte scene. And that's all we want to do and make sure it comes off tasteful. But in terms of Juneteenth, sorry, now that we're you asked me that question. This will be a quick question. We are going the same weekend. A lot of Juneteenth events are happening. Hopefully we can just fall in as a thing that people will also want to do in their Juneteenth time. we have a lot to accomplish with the show, so it's not exactly as hands-on with Juneteenth as I would like for it to be. I would like for there to be more of a historical context to it, but we're paying tribute to the life of Trey of We Love Wrestling. We also have the job of 8 matches. We also have the job of Goldman is debuting his new single that is the new Ashe Wrestling theme song, The Power. We also have to do my announcement. So there's like a lot of things the show wants to do. I think it existing is I don't want to say it's enough for the fact that it's Juneteenth, but it is in line with the spirit of Juneteenth, us existing in this space. So I felt like running Juneteenth with a massive card kind of did what it needed to do enough to like tip a hat to it. But I pray that people do feel the spirit of Juneteenth in that building, because that's what I do kind of want to channel. However, I didn't want to I didn't want to isolate or just also label it Juneteenth event, Juneteenth, Ashe's Juneteenth, and then we're not really talking about Juneteenth. So
there. You didn't like throw together a show. You are going to make sure that if you put it on a Juneteenth show that's very specific, that it's going to have things in it and it's going to make reference and people are going to understand it. It's going to teach people who need to be taught something. And I think the other side, like if we are being honest, it's like also I can come there and not feel like, hey, we're like I'm in a weird space. It's like
I don't want people to come who are not Black to come and feel like they can't be an ally or feel awkward or feel off or feel like, oh, am I overstepping my boundaries?
Do I belong? Is it okay?
Yeah, do I belong? Listen, everyone belongs. It's pro wrestling. I want you to be a fan.
That's exactly what yes.
Listen. If I'll say it like this. If we're, like you said, Band-Aids are off today. If Black people can watch 50 years of white WWE champions and be okay,
exactly.
You guys can come and enjoy Ashe. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. So it's all love, genuinely, and I want people to feel like they can celebrate and also hopefully learn what Juneteenth is if they're there. Like I said, with the Black History Month show, we had a booth full of Black wrestling memorabilia. That was something.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Thank you. I didn't have time, and we also had Living Black History with Ron Simmons being there.
You sure did.
But I didn't have time to put in into Juneteenth. I told Sam and the world that we had a theme show. And it was really an ambitious theme, but I just didn't have the bandwidth to pull it off the way it was gonna pull it off. So I said we'll table it and come back to it. And right now this would just be an Ashe branded show because we still need to brand ourselves and let you know what Ashe is at its core. Before every show's a theme show, we have to have an identity. So this was like, okay, what better way to stand in your identity than Juneteenth? So
right.
I think it's perfect. It's just like you're giving it flowers.
Yeah. That's all I'm trying to do.
Without trying to become a stereotype or a trope going into, because there's plenty of that. We will have plenty of that on our morning news programs and all of the crazy things that so I like that. I think it's smart.
Thank you.
You're doing such it's
working hard.
Awesome.
You are working hard.
So awesome. I just love it so much. And everyone has everything good to say about everything about it all the time. So it just makes me happy to be a part of it. It's just an extension, like you said. We're all pro wrestling fans. Like the unifier is the pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
It's like the promoter came in yesterday. Is like, it's a lovely afternoon for pro wrestling, and I'm like, I am gonna like this guy because he meant it. I was like, yay!
One of the most beautiful stories I've ever experienced at a show. I did, and Sam was actually there for this. I don't think she was there for this moment, but she was there in the building. I wrestled Elijah Evans, PWX, during February a few years ago for the championship, the top championship. And it was champion versus champion. So I tried to boost it up and make it everything. And listen, I'll say it now, not to bury anybody, but Sam, if you saw any marketing for that match or that show, that was me.
I believe it. I 100% believe it.
They didn't give a damn. They were supposed to just be
they didn't.
For Elijah. I had to make a moment. But in the moment we made, I was very happy. We did the whole big entrance and everything. And someone came to me at the merch table, an older white gentleman, and he told me that he had a best friend who was a Black man from the 70s. They used to go to pro wrestling shows together. And he was always very frustrated by the way that Black people were treated in professional wrestling. and he passed away the few years before he had met me. A few years before he had come to a PWX show, but he was meeting me that night, and this white dude was basically saying, he was like, "Look, if my friend was here right now," he said, "I cried tonight." He said, "Because my friend was here, he would have been so proud of what this is, what this moment is," and that meant a lot to me. But if we can keep doing that, and like I said, that unifying, the fact that wrestling unified a friendship over 40, 50 years. And this white man said, you know, he had grown in kind of a racist world, so he was already open. He wasn't bigoted, but you know, his friend got to teach him so much. He said, "We united through wrestling, but my friend taught me so much about race and what it means to be an American and what he was dealing with." He said that it was truly experience of lifetime bonding. So when I saw that man's testimony to how wrestling brought a 50-year friendship together, even past the grave, it shows you what power of pro wrestling and community can really do. So I could never look that in like a gift horse in the mouth. That's what they say. I could never look over that.
Yeah. So that's an incredible story. And then and sometimes one of my favorite things to say is sometimes that pro wrestling is magic. And when you have things like that when it goes to it there's just sometimes, of course, it's just sometimes it's just like, oh, it's just pro wrestling, and it's something especially because we see it so often. But then there are the things like, and we forget because you get tied up in, like, obviously I try not to be involved in the tribalism type of things, but right now, like, there's so much tribalism and things like that sometimes you forget, hey, there's this little kid who is dressed up like Cody Rhodes or John Cena or Bianca Belair, and you forget that that's really what we're here for. Like, this is really what wrestling is. It's the same. Like, there was a kid who was sitting behind us at the last Ashe show, and he had to be, I don't know, maybe 5 years old, if that. And he was sitting behind Kat, and that's when Kat had because it was the space themed show, and so she brought she had like the astronaut helmet, and she let him wear it, and he put it on, and like she opened it, like, and he thought that was just like the coolest thing ever, and he was just, and I could hear him like during the matches, like he would get really into stuff, and sometimes like you forget as an adult, and then as what you see, then sometimes you forget like what it really is all about. And then like this kid behind us was like super into it, and I think at one point he did find he fell asleep like later in the show, but like it was really, but he was really into it, and he was singing and he was yelling and things like that, it was such a cool thing to just kind of be able to experience that and then remember, like, hey, this is actually what it's about, as pro wrestling is bringing people together and that type of stuff.
I made new friends with a 7 going on an 8-year-old and an 11 going on 12-year-old yesterday. I got a hug. Like, I straight up got a hug at one point. I was just super engaging, having fun, and they're really creative, and it was so great. It was like the best. And that's, I mean, I used to work with kids. That was my background, so it was really, really fun thing for me, because I just that comes easy to me, interacting with kids. It's just something that I do because I do it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and Brad says, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Brad said, bringing Kathy to shows has opened my eyes so much about this sport. It's not about us, it's about the kids and what they're enjoying more than anything. Definitely.
What we're showing them, the example that we're setting for them, I think is better too, because you can go to a lot of wrestling shows and it's cool and all that, but and I'm not gonna like name names, but or you can bring the kids to something like this, and a lot of the kids, they get a lot of experience. Like I said, like my the sponsors of they brought their they're like 6 and 8, and I think and then they brought the older she'll be 18 in the fall, but the kids always follow her around and everything, and they were having so much fun. And I was like, because I kept glancing over at them from where I was at the table, and I was like, oh, they are totally into this. They were like, and it was new to them. So they actually had a moment. Tanya was telling me they had a moment where they had to explain that, how it works. And they're not really hurting each other. But then we got the quote of the night at the older, younger kid. Because when the one guy hit another guy with a trash can right to the face, and she was like, "Oh my God, he just killed him."
I've definitely been there. I'll say this, and then I have to start wrapping up after kind of go through Juneteenth.
Absolutely, of course.
Okay. One of the best stories that I have in terms of involving kids in Ashe is there was a little boy who came up to Charity King, and forgive me if I've told this story here before. Have I told you this story here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've only told it a few times, but I remember, the energy. I probably would have shared it with someone like Sam. But this was a beautiful moment where the little boy went up to Charity and he said, "Wow, how do you get so strong?" Like, whatever like that. And she said, "Well, I just kind of, work out, da, 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 da." And he goes, "Well, how do I get strong like you? Like, I want to be as strong as you one day. Like, I want to be strong like you one day." And for her, for a boy to say that to Charity was like, it just blew her mind. And she was like, this little boy wants to be like me when he grows up. And if you can erase the gender line that early in a person's mind about what's accomplished, what's possible, or who inspires you, then you're cooking with grease. And I think that let me know we were in the right place for, a little boy to tell Charity to be like her when he grew up, be that strong. It was very, very hard. Very, very emotional for her. So
yeah,
it was really
for sure. Thank you for sharing that with us, because that's incredible, and that is like, it helps you. And I'm sure I can sure assume it can be very overwhelming sometimes trying to put a show together and trying to do this and do all the things that you have to do. And so remembering stories like that, that's part of your why. I know that you have various whys, but then that's another why. Is, hey, this kid got to see Charity and got to see a very powerful, strong woman, and that so if he's seeing it, other people are seeing it. So that's a really cool thing to.
It's early childhood development, man. You can't, like you said it. That's what we learn, those things. It's so important. That was what I mean. I've always focused on that, is getting the right message into kids' heads behaviorally. Like, treat people good, be a good human.
Yeah, and like I said, a little boy walks away with knowing that women are someone you can aspire to be like, rather than anything else. Then that's going to go a long way.
Definitely.
And this for that. Yeah, no, totally. I love that.
That's great.
Always.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for having me so much.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. And then for the people who can't, I know that we will obviously put up the website where people can buy the ticket. So if you're in the Charlotte area on Saturday, please make sure that you come to this. But if they're not in the Charlotte area, they are able to watch it live, correct?
Yes, the live stream link will go up tonight at midnight.
Oh, great. Perfect.
So if you need to purchase a live stream, we try to do it the week of, so it's fresh people's minds and people,
That makes so
but
much
sense. So if you could purchase it starting tonight at midnight, and it'll be there for you, and we'll get it out.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll make, if you're following, also make sure you're following Ashe Wrestling on all social media, because there's a ton of great content. But then obviously if you're following Power Bombshells on our social media, we'll definitely get that link out there for you guys as well, so that we make sure that you're seeing it, because we want you to see the show. There's so much good stuff.
I dig the YouTube channel anyway. I mean, just like that, the CCW channel, both of you guys like have actually made an effort to make your channels fun and interesting, and like meeting the wrestlers, meeting the promotion people, I love that. I think it's super important. People don't realize, because there's so many people spending so much time on YouTube. It's amazing. So
yeah,
just love
it raises kids now, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, right.
That's
and
great.
There's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much. Please be blessed.
Thank you.
Have fun talking about the G1 and the Owen Cup, and the Hangman return. All that would be cool. You guys have a great show as always. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. See you on Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, you too. Nikki said that she enjoyed seeing Darius on here and can't wait for next week. And so while we're still on the subject, we'll go ahead and we were going to preview the show anyway, and then it worked out that Darius was going to be available today. So I was like, perfect. We'll just have him on and talk to him. And then so we'll go through the match card real quick. So that if you are considering buying this show, if obviously if you're in the Charlotte area and you can, please come to the show, because it's amazing. Not that I'm sure it's great to watch on on YouTube, but if you are on the stream, the stream rather, but if you are in there and can be in the building, it's just a really cool vibe, and I would hope that I would love if you could make it. So so we will go ahead. You can put that back up. And
okay. Well, I was going to put the website up one more time.
Yes, go ahead. Sure.
Can do that there.
So the link will, when the link goes on sale at midnight tonight, it will be through ashewrestling.com. That's where you will go and purchase the ticket. I think there's if I remember right, there's a link that says buy tickets or something like that, and then it will you just follow the steps to be able to purchase the show online, and it's next Saturday. I believe it is at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. I need to double check that. Hang on, I think I've got it on.
Say on one of our pictures that I can't.
I should know.
Let me make it bigger.
It doesn't say, does it? I will. I want to say. Oh, it sure doesn't.
I bet it's today. It could be at 7.
I think it's usually if they are following how they typically go, there's live music. So that's another cool thing about Ashe. They do live music before the actual show starts. And so I believe if it's how they generally do it, there's live music that starts, I think it's 7:30. It goes from 7:30 to 8, and then the show itself starts at 8 o'clock. And then I also know that if you are in the Charlotte area and you want to come, they are doing a meet and greet with Shelton Benjamin before the show. You can purchase tickets for that. I believe the meet and greet is at, I want to say is at 5 o'clock. Maybe 5:30. Double check that, and I've retweeted it to our stuff, but I'll make sure to retweet it again. But yeah, so if you're in the Charlotte area and you want to come to the show and you have some extra funds to share to spare, that you definitely try to go meet Shelton, because I don't know when he's going to be back.
Because why would you not?
Yeah. So they did announce that Shelton will be doing that, so that will be very.
That's
cool.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm glad that you enjoyed that conversation, because I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I think I just enjoy talking to Darius all the time. So anytime
he's he's got I know he was talking about time management and stuff, and that is just something you learn when you're doing the things that you talk about. But he's got such a good feel. He seems like he has such a good feel for people that I mean, it's just that just comes with time. Because that's something that you just learn through. I mean, I did 13 years of management, and I would tell anybody that you don't know any, everything changes all the time. And
because you're working with people, you're working with human beings, and things change. And
you can be a bossy boss, like he was making the point. You can be a big bossy boss and tell people you're going to do this and you're going to do that. But when you're actually allowing the people that work with you to be autonomous humans, then that comes with the things that humans interacting does.
Yeah.
Is the conflicts, the emotions, the things that
right.
we all have outside our lives. And
well, then you've also got the building thing where the last show started a little bit late because they were having some technical difficulties with getting so that they could get the show on for the fans who were not in the building. And so that there's always that stuff that comes into play. Obviously, we've seen it a million times when the New Japan USA shows.
Oh my gosh.
We even see it with TBS. They're forever having problems.
Oh dear God, I know. It's at the end of the day, I'm always Tony's team doesn't have it together, so I'm not sure it feels so bad. Because they can't sync their audio. They can't TBS, that bothers me a little bit. It's apparently WWE, because of getting rid of certain people in the production staff, there are less shot cuts and craziness, and they actually, so I don't know, because I don't watch. You would be able
there are some, definitely there's been some improvements for sure, and there's some they do some of the continuous shots now, with some of the bigger matches, where they'll start in the back and they continue and they kind of follow people in, which is a cool thing to see, because that would have never happened even 3 years ago.
Nice.
So there are definitely some improvements in that area.
But it's I don't know.
It's we'll open a whole other can of
worms. It is what it is. Well, but I don't mind, because the money goes to, again, it's the same idea as me paying for my local promotion. That's going to the local promotion. That support, that's a donation in my mind. That's the donation to making the wrestling community a better place. It just is.
Right, it is. It's growing the show, and it's making sure talent gets paid, and that
that's another thing.
And production, and they're all getting paid for what they're doing for us to entertain us. And on top of that, and you're putting money into your local community, and you're putting your dollars where you want it to go, and you're supporting people you want to support with your dollars. And so that's how sometimes it's because I'm like, especially when we're all, we all have bills and we all have things to pay. And sometimes you're like, oh man, do I have this extra stuff this month? But, and then sometimes you're just like, but you know what? At least I know where it's going. It's going to people I want to support, and it's helping the local economy, and it's helping, talented people get paid to do their jobs, which is,
well,
really
it's the
important.
only ethical consumption. And we were like with Lo last week, we were talking about it because she was talking about the fact that there's things she will and won't do. And it's like, that's small business, like even supporting the brewery, supporting the pro wrestling. So I found out, I didn't even realize this, is that because they are running for charity, because all their proceeds go to charity. Well, our town has a thing where the Odd, where we all call it the Odd. It's the Richmond Memorial Auditorium or whatever. But because they were all putting all the proceeds to charity, they were able to donate the building. So they did not have to pay for our space to come to our town, because our town has it in the ordinance that if your show is just a charity thing, you can use a bunch of our public spaces that we have for free, essentially. You're not, you're not. They brought all the rescue pups out. They brought the rescue kitties out. But
awesome.
I was like, wow. Again, this is like one of the reasons I love my town. I'm so lucky to have found this town and to have been here for 5 years. And now I'm glad that these people are running here because they feel like they will fit in and be part of the community good. Is that my tax dollars are going to something meaningful somewhere. Like this, the town takes care of stuff, and it was fun. And it was fun to see my friends and people that have never seen wrestling before because the brewery was sponsoring it, and because they're like, oh, the brewery's sponsoring it, and we know Mel's a wrestling nerd. Let's all go check this out. Like, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah. Like they were, and of course they were just supporting a good cause. Like, and everyone was so cool. I mean, I gotta say that it was a lot of fun because just people were so cool. And that's why I feel like I have a little mini, not quite the same idea, obviously, but like a mini Ashe thing going on.
Yeah, but that's really cool. Yeah, and like we have, Title Belt does the community driven stuff too, and like they're having their next show on July 5th, and it's called Hot Dog and a Handshake is the name of the show.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I love that name.
Yeah, it's great. It made me laugh when I saw it.
But that was the other one I was thinking about, because when I realized what CCW was all about fully and how this was like all put together and why these two ended up together, like doing booking and promoting, and why like one of them was like, I'm good at this and I loved it and I love pro wrestling. And the other one's like, well, I want to do this thing. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like this. And we've got, again, Shelly and Sabin have done a bunch of their shows. A bunch of the guys that are on there. I realized that a couple of, I think Freedom Ramsey was telling me has wrestled on Dark, had wrestled on Dark. Some of them had done some time on WWE undercard stuff. It's like, sweet. They have legitimate, there's some really talented kids on this roster. But
that's so cool.
It was really great to have it be like, this is a perfect fit. Yeah. And it's a great time. It's a good stopover point for the other places that they're trying to go, because they're trying to move out of just the high school and actually do a couple of other locations. And I mean, from what I heard, a little bird told me that there's a good chance that there's going to be another show coming in the early part of the next year. So
yay!
It looks like we may be having them coming back definitely in the future, and that's
yay! That's awesome.
Exactly. So
so cool.
This was a perfect show for us to have. For me to go yesterday, and then for us to have Darius on and have it be the week before Ashe and everything. It's just I was like, wow, this worked out weird.
It did. It did work out. Yeah. I'm so glad that it worked out. The Darius was
wrestling love instead of wrestling hate.
Right. Yeah. And originally when I was gonna like I knew that this show, when I was booking the other guests to come on when we had JD and Lo on, I was looking and I was like, oh, the 16th is Father's Day. That's the weekend before Ashe. I don't know, that I was just like, the people, it would probably be hard to get somebody, you know, on Father's Day. So we'll just preview the show. I didn't think anything else of it. And then I reached out to Chris to schedule it, to set up and potentially set up an interview.
We love you, Chris.
We do love Chris. Thank you. He provides so many great opportunities, and I appreciate that. And, so I was asking him actually about trying to get somebody else on the show like later on, and he was like, yeah, I'll talk to them. By the way, do you want to have Darius on? I was like, absolutely. I will always make time for Darius. So yes.
That's
and
Chris.
Also,
We'll
I
follow
want
Chris right there. He's the man.
Yes, and I also want to congratulate
helps.
Chris. Just won an Edward R. Murrow Award for his documentary that he talked about on our show a couple of months ago. If you were watching, it's called Ghost in the Stadium, and it's on YouTube, and it's like 20 minutes, and it's talking about how Bank of America Stadium, where the Panthers play, is built on I can't remember if it was a slave plantation, I believe is what it is built on. And so it's called Ghost in the Stadium, and it talks about that history, which I think a lot, like I had no clue. And I've lived in Charlotte all my life, and I had no idea that,
you know, check that out.
Yeah,
I saw that he had won an award. I didn't realize it was that. That's
and
amazing.
So he won it for, I think it was, I don't know if it was like regional, but he is, because he won that, he is eligible for the national awards. I believe it's later this year, and I meant to mention that beforehand, so I'm glad that you put his name up, because that reminded me to congratulate, because that's huge. And if you're not into, you know, journalism, Edward R. Murrow is like, that award is huge. That's like one of the industry
big
standards
deal
to get that. Like obviously there's the Pulitzer, but that is a really important award, and so that I'm so happy for him and his team for them to get that. And now they're, like I said, they have the possibility of winning in the national awards later this year, which is so cool.
Well, one is broadcast and one is writing, so
yeah, right. But yeah,
he
so
got the broadcast one, which
he did.
Awesome.
He did. Yeah, he does a lot of work with, and
one of the best awards you can win for broadcast.
yes, and he works for WRAL in Raleigh, which is a news station up there, and they actually, I retweeted it from, I think I retweeted it from Powerbombshells too, but I retweeted it from my account, and I posted it on the Powerbombshells Instagram, because he got to interview Claudio like 2 weeks ago, because there was this big soccer thing up in Raleigh, and they were bringing in former athletes, like I think JJ Watt was part of it, and there was I just blanked on who the other athlete was that was on the team. And so Claudio was saying that he hasn't played soccer since he was like 15. He hadn't played in years, and he had played as a teenager, and he played basketball, and then once he found wrestling, that's kind of like what he went to. And so he was just talking about all of that. And so it was a short interview, but it was really cool. And Claudio, I think he's coming back. He asked him, there's some of the European soccer teams are coming through and doing stadium shows, like they're doing, they're playing in Colombia at Williams-Brice Stadium, where the Gamecocks play. They're doing one at Bank of America Stadium, and I think they're doing one in Raleigh as well. And I think he asked, and Claudio was like, yeah, probably we'll be back for that. So, but it was really cool to see. And so I was really excited for Chris to be able to see that, especially because if you watched our show, you know that Chris also has a background in wrestling. He trained to be a wrestler and wrestled for a little while before he kind of focused more on the journalism side of things. So that was really cool for him to get to talk to Claudio. But yeah, so very exciting for Chris.
Very cool. Very cool. Yep. I thought it was funny because Dave was like, I can't believe how big soccer's gotten in America. He's like, it hasn't been this big since like the 70s. And it was like, I'm one of the kids that was playing at the age that's now our kids are watching.
Yeah.
So I was part of that group I was the same age when the women's team won the Women's World Cup in 99.
Yeah.
That I was there in their age group. I was college age. I was right in their age group. We had watched VHS videos of the North Carolina team that they played on, and the coach of that team. And I mean, so those were like people that we had watched. And now it's like, it's becoming big in the USA. Finally, it's like, yeah, The whole rest of the world doesn't understand hand egg. They call it football. It's round. They kick it with their feet.
Yeah.
I introduced a couple of my German friends to the term hand egg recently, and they enjoyed that quite a lot. So.
They did.
I was like, oh, you mean hand? Because their daughter plays football, soccer also.
Right.
And we were talking, and it was hilarious because I was like, yeah, me and my friends who are not sports ball nerds, we call it hand egg. And sports ball. So
that's great.
I have a broad spectrum of friends. I feel good about that.
There you go. See, it's always nice to have
I have a diverse life
in your life
experience. Well, I don't want to live in a bubble. I mean, it's easy to do that in America, especially, but it's easy to do that everywhere. And I think people do want to like stay in their thing. And I do love my town, and I'm totally over for it. And that's great, but you got to do all of it.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
So, very exciting.
Yes.
So let's preview this dang show. Or else we'll be here all night.
Yeah, so this match that we're bringing up, Yaya has been
these in the order that I kind of assume it is, and also sort of the way that you sent them to me.
Yes, I just sent them as I saw them. So, but yeah, so but yeah, so this show, Yaya has been on several shows. Obviously, if you watched the first one, he got over for he did the swag surfing entrance that went viral, and I got to talk to him and interview him early on, and so that was a really cool thing. And so LeBron Cozone, I've seen several times. I've seen him at various promotions here in North Carolina, and then he wrestles for DPW pretty regularly. And he's really cool. He's very good. I'm excited that he's making his debut. And then Man Like Darius is also making his debut. If you have watched For the Culture, then you have seen him. If you watched GCW, especially if you watched last night, then you have seen him. He was in Joey Janela's Spring Break this year, and there was a spot that he did with Viva Van. Where Viva Van, she was going to stink face him, and he was very excited for it. And then Fuego del Sol interrupted it, and he tried to pin Viva Van, and so they booked Darius yesterday versus Viva Van in GCW in LA, and he got to, as he keeps telling everyone, he got to finish the story because he did. He did get the stink face, and he lost the match, but he didn't care that he lost the match because he got the stink face. And I think there was a proposal and if you can't, I can't see, but Karen had the proposal. I don't think it's real, but they posted a picture today and said they're engaged, but I think it's part of the with the story they're telling. But probably
a little bit of storyline.
Yeah, but Man Like Darius is he's from the UK, and he wraps himself in to the ring. Awesome. He which is very cool, and so I'm excited. I've seen him a few times. I'm very excited to finally see him live, and I think that this is probably the perfect match for him to debut is with these two, and so I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right on. All right, I got this one next. Here we go. Bloop.
Okay, I'm also pulling it up on my phone so that I can see it as
Owen
well. I did it right.
Yes.
So Owen Knight versus Darius Bingston. Owen is from the Carolinas. He wrestles. He did some wrestling in PWX. He was also in I think it was called Soda City Wrestling or something like that. It was in South Carolina. He was champion there for a while. And so he's been on a couple of the Ashe shows. He was on, I believe was he part of Team North Carolina? I can't remember if he was, but I know he was on the last show, and he had a really great match. And then Darian, I have seen a couple of times on GCW, and I enjoyed what I've seen of the little bit I've seen of him. And they released a promo this week of him calling out Owen Knight, and it was a really good promo. It was I will retweet it again if you haven't seen it, or go to the YouTube channel and you can see it there, because Darian is definitely, I really like the character that he's doing, and Owen's a great wrestler, and so I'm really excited to see what they do on Saturday. Oh, Brad says, okay, he said it's not real. Viva Van confirmed today she's still hot and still available, which is what I thought. I assumed it was part of the storyline. just him being so excited he got stink face that he proposed is what I figured happened. But I
like the fact that it's still hot and available.
Still hot.
Just, that's very important distinction.
It is very important.
All right, what's next? Bert.
Okay, so this is Trevor Aon versus Jordan Holt. So Trevor has been on a couple of Ashe shows as well. Last month he did the triple threat match and he won, which was kind of a surprise because they haven't done, like, he's still kind of building himself in Ashe, and the match was really great. I really enjoyed it. I like his character. He has this really cool presentation. He like wears devil horns, and so like when the lights come up, it creates this really cool shadow on the wall, and he wears red contacts, which is like it's not off-putting, but it's kind of just startling. But it's really cool. It fits with this character. He has this really cool vibe, which sets him apart from everybody else that's on the show. And then Jordan, I have not seen before. I'm not familiar with Jordan's work, so I'm excited to learn about him and what he does. So this should be a really cool match. And then we have the return of Tootie Lynn, and she is facing Karen Bam Bam Renee, who is making her Ashe debut. Karen is also someone I'm not familiar with, and I always, of course, love finding out new women talent. So I'm excited about this. And Tootie is great. Tootie was on the last show. I got to interview her. She's super sweet. She's great in the ring. I'm really excited. I'm glad she's coming back. And I've seen her outside of Ashe and was already a fan of hers, and so it was really cool to see her, and I'm glad that she's back and that they're building this, not necessarily a women's division, but they're bringing in really great talent, which I think is great to see, and
all different kinds of people, like Darius was talking about, and also the fact that there's like multiple women's matches on the thing. Oh my god.
This is great. Yes. So Brad says Karen is amazing. She's part of Billy Dixon's crew. She's a Northeast staple, so charismatic and fun. Oh, great. Cool. Now I'm even more excited to see her. Yes. And hello, David. I'm glad that you could join us.
Welcome.
Yeah. So this match I'm really looking forward to because Kevin Knight is in it. And so obviously, you know that if you watch the show, that you know that Mel and I really enjoy Kevin's work. Especially I watched when BOSJ, I made sure, even though we were behind on certain things, I made sure to watch all of Kevin's matches. And he killed it in BOSJ. I thought he did a great job. I thought he looked really good, and he had some really great matches. I think his match with Desperado was probably my favorite one that he did, and so that was really cool. And then Ian Maxwell, fast as hell Ian Maxwell, I've seen him wrestle a lot in PWX. He's been in all the Ashe shows. He is the one who beat Movie Mike in 30 seconds. And so maybe I'm sure he will try to beat Kevin Knight in 30 seconds, but I have a feeling that Kevin Knight's not going to let that happen.
Probably not. He actually cut, like, that first show, he cut a hilarious promo when he killed Movie Mike. So yes. I just remember that it was like, all right, I like this guy. Yeah. I mean, I know he's a heel, but I don't care. He's
a lot of fun.
He's fun. He's very funny.
Yes. And then we have the one of the long running feuds in Ashe is Billy Dixon versus Darius Carter. They are going to go one-on-one. So they wrestled at For the Culture, and Darius Lockhart was a special guest referee, and he had to call it down the middle because he's Darius Lockhart. And unfortunately for some, and maybe fortunately for others, Darius Carter won that match. And then at the last show, they got into a brawl at the end of the show to kind of leave us hanging for when they would finally get to go one-on-one again. And so we're getting that, and this is going to be a really great match. It's such a fun story. Billy's a great baby face, and Darius is an amazing heel. And as I talked about it last week, it's a heel that comes out to Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Like, it blows my mind that that's a thing. And it works perfectly for the Allfather, and he's very good at what he does. And I'm really excited for this match.
That's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's a good show. Good lineup.
Yes, and then before we get to this, and we can leave the thing up. If you missed our interview with our conversation with Darius, there was supposed to be another women's match. It was supposed to be, or there still will be. I will take that back. There will still be a women's match. It was originally supposed to be the King Bees versus Fire and Flava. They were having their debut as a tag team because Tasha has not wrestled for Ashe before, but Kiera has wrestled a couple times. She's wrestled both women of the King Bees separately. She's kind of one from not I don't want to say nefarious means, but I guess that's technically what they are. But as she told me when I interviewed her, is that the ref didn't see it, so it doesn't matter. And the fans' opinion, she doesn't care about them. So it doesn't matter. So, but unfortunately, Kiera is injured and she will not be able to make this show. But Darius has given us a little tease of who will be teaming up with Tasha, and he said it's somebody that creates a spark. And so I figured out who that was. So I'm very excited. That'll be a lot of fun. And then here in our main event I don't know. There's not much you can say about this.
What do you say about it?
The pictures, the poster says it all. It's Jonathan Gresham versus Shelton Benjamin. I mean, I was sold anyway, but like the minute I saw that poster, I was like, I don't need to know what else is on the card. Where is the link to buy my ticket?
Darius is like talking about like huge, like 5-star matches and like we get all these amazing matches. I'm like, yeah, you've got one of your main events, silly pants. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I was like, but I mean, good on you because like it's helping the whole situation. I mean, but also he's the one that made this match, so that's awesome too. Like,
right? Yeah, yeah.
And they're pretty local, aren't they?
Well, Shelton is from South Carolina.
I was gonna say Shelton's at least semi-local.
Yeah,
right?
he's from South Carolina. Gresham is from. Go ahead.
He's sending me like old YouTubes of like him wrestling for George South in like parking lots and stuff, not in like grass.
George South still trains here. He has trained.
He's been on.
He's trained Cedric Alexander. Darius has trained with him. He trains Swole. He's trained Caleb Conley. James Drake has trained with him. He's trained like. And that's just a very tiny list. Like Savannah Evans.
He knows the business. What are you gonna do? That guy he knows of the wrestling.
When he still wrestles, he definitely relies on 80s heel heat. That's a little questionable and uncomfortable with some of the things that some of the promos he cuts, and they're a little uncomfortable to watch. But generally, it seems fans enjoy it and they don't seem to be like, I guess because they know what he's doing, they don't take it personally. But it is sometimes a little like when I heard it, me and Nikki just kind of looked at each other and we just kind of like cringed a little bit, but the audience didn't really seem to care, so I guess that's all that matters. But even beyond that, like he's George and he's trained so many people. and then I was gonna say Jonathan Gresham is from Atlanta. I believe he lives in Baltimore now. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this match. I think, if I am not mistaken, this is a first ever matchup because Shelton he spent 2 decades in WWE, and so I believe that this is the first time this match is ever happening, which makes it even cooler. And I'm so excited because I love Jonathan Gresham. I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, I love his work, and then of course Shelton is Shelton, and Shelton is incredible. And I'm glad that he is still having it. WWE just kind of got rid of him and unceremoniously let him go, and so to see that he's still out doing the indies and people want to see him, and he's still, from what I understand, I haven't seen any of his matches since he's been gone, but knowing what I've seen, I'm sure he's just as incredible as ever.
I'm sure. I think I'm glad that he's released from Stamford Penn. Basically, it's like because now he can do what he wants to, and if he wants to stay with wrestling and do these things, he's a big name, he's a big draw. He can look at this. I mean, this is a great matchup. Like, so why not? I mean, it's so much better, and there's more opportunities. I mean, we are at least living in a time when there are way more opportunities for talent to get work. So
yes,
it's really fun.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so this card is incredible. Again, if you're in the Charlotte area next Saturday, please come. If you're not, I recommend buying the stream so that you can watch it live, but I believe that you can also go back and watch it after the fact if you can't.
Usually when you buy the link, you can go, because I went back on the one that and once they updated the link, I can still go back and watch it. So
yes. So
still
that is very cool. And then there's some of the matches are on the YouTube page. Like if you go to YouTube, they put up free matches. They put some of the matches from the last 3 shows are on YouTube. So
I just keep putting their page up because all of their stuff is like right on the front page of their, and it's easier to just go to their and
then you can just click the buttons of where you want to go.
Are right there.
Yep.
Because all their socials are right there. The YouTube channel's right on the front page. It's perfect.
Yes.
No, that's how I subscribe to it.
So definitely go check that out. There's some free stuff there, but so guess that now that we've had our Ashe hour and a half.
That's all right. Support local wrestling.
Yes, we will talk about some other this week. Like we're finding out more about the Owen Cup. And so again, with the Owen Cup, the winner of the Owen Cup now doesn't just get the nice little trophy that they have and the belt that they have that you see one time and never see it again until the next year. They get title shots, and they get not just any title shot, a shot at the world champion for both the men and the women. And it's in Wembley. Of all places. Like this is the stakes on this are so much higher, and I'm so glad that they're doing this. I make like not because I really enjoy the Owen anyway, but to have especially because it
but I don't want it to be an exhibition trophy. I want it to be a real trophy.
Right.
I want it
especially
to be a
if
real
you're doing
tournament.
it in the spirit of the person it's named after.
Right.
And it should have more prestige.
It should be a wrestling tournament, not an exhibition tournament.
Yes. So we had my brain, because I had to do live coverage of WWE and AEW this weekend. And so I did Friday, I did SmackDown and Rampage. And then yesterday I did Clash at the Castle and then Collision. And I just realized that I didn't write down who's in the Owen. So I'm gonna have to try to remember from memory. And also, you lovely people in the chat, if you remember, you can help us out with that.
Well, there's only so many people that have declared for it.
Yeah, so like on the women's side of thing, which we talked about it a little bit last week, we have Mariah May, who was in it because Tony demanded it, and she was like, I want somebody
I'm gonna be there with you the whole time.
Yeah, and I didn't have anybody looking out for me, so I'm gonna look out for you. I want you to be in the Owen. Obviously Willow and Chris are in it. Willow won last year. And so the two of them are in it. And then last night they announced during Collision that Sheeta is going to be in the tournament this year as well, which I'm so excited for her. Cool. And I feel like, are we missing somebody? I feel like there's a 5th woman that I'm forgetting, but maybe it is just those 4. Is it just those 4? Do I just think that there's a 5th one, which is possible? Brad says that he loves that everyone is declaring for the Owen this year, and it's been big names, so it adds to it. Yeah. Because, and then like on the men's side of thing, like Pac just declared for it.
Nice.
So he declared for it on Dynamite. He said that he was going to be in it.
And then when Will put in for it, right?
No, I don't think he did.
Has he not? Okay.
No, I don't think Will's going to be in it.
But I don't know. Maybe
no, I think it's Pac but Jay White. Didn't Jay White also? Why am I? This is why. Thank you. Bryan Danielson, and then Shingo, which I'm so excited for.
When I saw that, I was like, yeah.
And it feels like we're gonna get at some point. We're getting Shingo versus Danielson because Shingo specifically said he is the Japanese dragon, not the Rampage dragon, which is what he usually calls himself. He specifically said Japanese dragon. Obviously, Danielson is the American dragon. I feel like this is setting up somewhere down the line. And so because of this, and now we have Blood and Guts is also been announced as well. And so
not Detroit.
And so obviously the Elite are in it, and it appears that the Acclaimed might be in it, which I don't love at all. Bowens I don't have an issue with. I I don't need to see. I don't have anything against Billy Gunn. I like him. I don't need to see Billy Gunn in this match. I have a feeling if it is the Acclaimed, Billy will probably be on the outside type of thing. He probably won't be in the match itself. But both of these possibilities open up for the return of Hangman Page. Originally, when the Owen was announced, people assumed, okay, this is how they're going to bring Hangman back. He's going to be in the Owen, and he's going to win, and that's how he's going to get his match with Swerve at Wembley. Because I think it was late last year, Swerve is the one who mentioned that him and Hangman were going to run it back, and this was obviously prior to Revolution, and he was like, maybe somewhere like Wembley, and so that's kind of always stuck with me. But then he's also said in a press conference that he wants to wrestle Bryan Danielson. So some people think, okay, well, Danielson's going to win the tournament, and that's how it's going to happen, which is possible. But then you also have Danielson, who does not want to win a title. He has no interest in becoming champion. So do you not waste, because clearly you're not wasting a title spot on Danielson, but do you give that match at Wembley for a title that Danielson doesn't actually want, especially because he's winding down his full-time career? Then that brings, Hangman also makes sense for Blood and Guts, because the Elite suspended him and kind of indefinitely, and they've moved on from him, and they don't care about him at all. But then on the opposite side, Swerve is in it, so Swerve will be in the opposite team. So one of my theories of how they could do this if they want, but there's so many variables, obviously, but I was thinking Hangman could come in on Swerve's team just solely for the fact that he's like, you know what, I'm pissed off at the Elite. They turned their backs on me multiple times. I've never been able to fully trust them. They suspended me. They haven't called me one time since I've been out of here. This is purely, I just want them. I don't care about our shit. And then he does, and Swerve, and that Hangman doesn't turn on Swerve here. He turns later. And then you've got 8 weeks of TV between Forbidden Door and all in. There's a ROH pay-per-view, and that's it. You've got 8 weeks of TV that you have to fill. Plus you have Collision that's doing the Path to All In series. Not that I think that they'll put Swerve a lot on Collision, but that's this place that you can use those 8 weeks, especially because if you're trying to bring fans back week after week,
that
you're
position, gonna need a story for that.
Yeah, and that's a huge story. But then I was like, because some people assume that when Hangman comes back, he's going to be a baby face, but I don't think he's going to undo everything that he's been doing. Like, I think that, because then it's not necessarily what's the point, because we got the story, but because of the way that story ended in Revolution, I feel, and some people, and I get it, some people don't want to see Swerve Hangman again. It's been, which I get, but I feel like that story's unfinished because of the way it ended, because Hangman attacked referees and he lost himself in what he was doing, and he still lost. So he's got that whole story arc to tell, and I think it's too soon to turn him back babyface. So do you have any thoughts on when or where Hangman might return?
I mean, I kind of agree with you in so much as, he's still got the revenge for breaking into my house thing all the way back to the very beginning thing.
Right.
So, I mean, it's viable. It's hard to know with Hangman, because it's you don't know where he's been out, and is he really going to come back and team up with the Elite? I mean, I guess his hatred for Swerve could be strong enough for him to team up with them. Sure. And he could simultaneously sabotage them, because he doesn't need them once he's done with what he's doing.
True.
So
that's true.
I mean, he should get in the Owen if he's going to get a shot at Swerve, I feel like. But he could also spend this whole time sabotaging.
Well,
him.
yeah, and that's true too, because the Owen, even if he builds the story with him turning, he wouldn't get. Oh, that's what it was. They wouldn't be the Wembley story, obviously, because the winner of the Owen gets that. But we need a big story for All Out to sell that 2 weeks later. I mean, there's already the issue last year, even though they've pushed it off. You still need something big. But then that's also where you could do Swerve versus Danielson, because that's a big match to sell All Out. and not that I don't want Swerve to lose at Wembley. I would like him to have a longer title reign. But I also feel like Swerve and Danielson, you don't have to have the title for that match because Danielson doesn't want the title. But on the other hand, I think Swerve wants to be champion when he faces Danielson to prove that he's the best. And so there's so many variables and things that they could do here. That's why I guess that's the one good, like, you can't, it doesn't seem super obvious, but it does, like, on the one, because like I think I was one of the people, I was like, oh, Hangman's totally entering and he's winning and that's how we're getting this match. But then I do get those, you know,
although didn't they just say that Takeshita's going to be in the G1, which means he's going to be out for a few weeks. So maybe Hangman slides in with the Don Callis family to sabotage. I'm possible. I realized just now
about that, but
I just realized just now because I was thinking about the G1 and the fact that because I had thought about this when I saw his name on them, like, so that means Takeshita's going to be out of AEW for a bit because that's. I mean, it's 8 weeks.
That's true.
And he's pretty regular on. He's the alpha. He's a pretty big staple on.
Yeah.
Don Callis hates Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega stole Hangman's spot. Totally spitballing. It just dawned on me that he was going to be gone for that 8 weeks, and also. He could sabotage Will that way. He could sabotage Swerve
and Will also
from the outside.
Like Will is gonna leave the Don Callis family at some point anyway. He doesn't agree with he doesn't agree with anything that they're doing.
Well, and he's sick of them coming in there because he wants to win matches clean. So it's
so there's that too.
That storyline.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not trying to have a house of torture over here.
And then it keeps Hangman and Will relevant while keeping them apart unless they have a future program. And he can stick with Swerve and Will can have his thing that he's dealing with.
That's certainly a possibility. I hadn't considered that, but that's
but I mean, Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega and Kenny Omega took Hangman's spot.
So and Hangman and Kenny are also former tag team champions.
Right. Yeah. But they were begrudgingly put together in the first place.
They made it work. That's true. There is
until I was thinking about the Takeshita being missing for a while thing. Just was making me is what made me just think of Hangman coming back and Takeshita going to do the G1. So maybe not till July. I mean, that's the thing though. The G1 starts in July. So
and it ends. Doesn't it end 2 weeks before All In, or is that last year that I'm thinking of?
No, it ends August 25th. It was July 18th to August 25th, I think is what it said.
And All In is August 26th.
I think that's what I read this morning when I was looking at because I saw that the actual blocks had been announced and was like, oh crap. Yeah. And then I was reading on there that, I don't know if I still have that up. I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I've got the G1 stuff. So
anyway.
So Brad Brad said that he thinks that Hangman could be the 5th for Team Elite. His team wins. Then he says he's going to enter that Owen to go after Swerve.
So that's more what you were saying in the first place.
That's certainly possible. And I agree with Brad.
To your theory.
I agree with Brad on this because this is what I've been saying this since last year that we're getting Brian.
You guys have got me thinking about it, and I feel like some other people are just getting in on this, and I'm like, Santa's been talking about this for like a year and a half.
I've been talking about it since last year because Danielson missed Wembley because he was injured. He came back the following week, and Nigel said, of course you come back the week after All In, because it's been rumored that Nigel and Danielson were supposed to wrestle because obviously it's in Nigel's home country. Nigel says he's got maybe one more match left in him. Danielson is winding down his full-time career. Like, there's only so many opportunities, and obviously having it in Wembley means more for Nigel than I mean, not that I don't think that he would say no to have this match anywhere, but if you can have it in Wembley, then like, why the hell not? So, and I talked about this again yesterday. So Brad says that I think we're getting Bryan versus Nigel, especially with Nigel still going hard on commentary on Bryan last night. Nigel got some good ones off, and he mentioned Bryan's wife too. So yes, if you missed if you missed Collision, you probably have still seen the line. Because I heard part of it, but I missed the other. I
saw someone tweet the line. So.
And then because I was on coverage, I didn't rewind it. I just left it. And then I saw people talking about it. So Nigel says that Bryan tried being vegan, but he couldn't commit because he can't stop eating brie, which has obviously the double entendre, the double meaning here. And so now that he's brought the wife into it, Nigel knows what he's doing. It's setting up, again, 8 weeks of television that we need. So I think that's the match.
Him and Bryan Keith are like my two favorite people with what they're doing right now, where they keep like sliding in their like comments. As like Bryan Keith is a little different, but them doing their like sly comment stuff, like where they're like, if you want to grow good corn, you need to respect Chris Jericho, is like the greatest line in the universe. It's like the only thing interesting about the learning tree
is Bryan.
And then Nigel is really good about slipping in the Danielson lines all the time, to the point where sometimes he like gets his co-host because they're not expecting.
Oh yeah, Shivani, and like even Shivani said last night, he was like, I don't even know how to respond to that.
I don't know what to say.
You got me. And then he's like, anyway, here's the wrestling show that we're on. So yeah, that definitely seems that's what they're doing. So, because somebody wondered if we were getting Danielson versus Shingo in the finals, and I don't think so. I think we will get maybe a tease of it, but I think they'll save that for down the. Maybe they do it at Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe they tease something. Maybe they get some stuff and they do maybe Danielson gets not one more Wrestle Kingdom, because it's not like he's retiring forever. He's just cutting back, but they could do that there. And then Swerve. Eddie says Swerve can never trust Hangman.
Correct.
Definitely not. Even if they're on the same team, I don't think either would trust.
I think those two have a lifelong blood feud at this point.
Yes, and I feel like they're forever connected. This is a feud we will see till the end of time. They will always run it back somehow. And Nikki says,
you know what? Some of their especially their like hardcore match, I don't care. I like that match.
I love that match. The third one was my favorite.
I love the other one.
I'm sorry, the second one was my favorite. But yeah,
they always wrestle each other good. I don't know what I'm sorry you don't want to see that again.
Maybe and I guess I can get not wanting to see it this close together, which whatever. Sure, I can handle. I can give you that.
That happens.
However,
I
feel like that's a Wembley level match. Maybe it's Wembley next year.
Plus, there's a ton of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
What do you want? It's too close together. We got a pay-per-view a month basically now.
Yeah.
You can't really spread it out apart. It's, every other month, but
yeah. But still.
I mean, this is as like far apart as you get, folks. Like they've added extra pay-per-views now.
Right. So Nikki said that Samantha and I talk about this all the time, referring to Nigel and Danielson. We talk about it all the time.
Hilarious. It's one of my favorite things because you guys put me onto it so far, like in the past. Like I feel like you guys said that so long ago now.
Yeah,
like
way
when
back.
I hear people talking about it on other podcasts and other stuff, I'm like, have you guys not been listening to Sam?
No.
Like you need what is happening? Sam and Nikki have been onto this for I feel like forever because my flags have been up for it. Every time he says anything about him, he calls him the clam digger thing, the fragile Danielson thing.
Yep.
He's really subtle.
Nigel has been building it,
but
Danielson has played into it. But Nigel has been building this story since last year because he was doing it before he got
longer
injured,
than Danielson.
Yeah, but and even I just remembered a tweet that I saw. Nigel tweeted last week asking if anybody knew of any small venues in Dallas, less than 100 people, because he wanted to have the roast of Bryan Danielson. Because he's doing magic shows and things like this. So I don't know if it's part of it, but yes, he's building it and he's building it himself. At least
I want to go to that.
I know. I wish I had gone to the magic show when he had it in the night before Revolution. I really wish I'd gone to it because it sounds like I've had a couple of people I know who went to it.
It's really good.
Fun.
I love that he's doing stuff like that. It's
me
so
too.
Cool.
Yeah, because I saw him do it last year. He did it before Wembley. Because he did something with Progress, but he did a magic show there because I wrote about it.
I think that's when he started doing it.
Yeah, I think he's.
It was only his like first. He did like 1 or 2 shows, like basically at home, and kind of worked his way out. And he's been doing it ever since. And it's been
and he doesn't
it was
like
on.
To say it. Now he
It
doesn't.
was on the for the culture stuff. It just was. I mean, it was adjacent. You just couldn't watch it on the. Maybe you'll be able to watch it next year.
Yeah, that would be cool.
They got it on there.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
So USPA guy brings up a good point. So never estimate Tony Khan's lackadaisical attitude towards Hangman Page. Hangman has missed a lot of time these past 5 years for his personal issues. Yeah, and he took his time. But the time off that he's taking now was known well ahead of time, from what I understand. So it's not like it's a super big surprise. I'm sure they had plans for him all along, but that is definitely something to keep in mind, especially because things have moved so fast without. In his time gone. Same thing with MJF. Like, we were like, where does MJF fit in? Well, where does Hangman Page fit in? People want him. People talk about Hangman all the time. I've seen it more over the last month. And now that, I saw, obviously, when the Owen got announced, a lot of tweets were, oh, Hangman, this is where he's coming back. And now we see Blood and Guts, and they're like, wait a minute, is he going to be in this? And so then there's rumors that, and then I think like right after that, I think Thursday or Friday, some tweets started coming out saying that they have plans in place for him. And it sounded like he could be returning as early as July. I think is something that I saw. And there's also the possibility that this is where the Owen may be where they bring back Sammy Guevara. I've heard his name come up a couple times there. He should be back any moment now. And then also there have been the Scorpio Sky vignettes. They kind of missed here and there, but I wondered when they first started airing if that's where Scorpio returns is in the Owen, which would be really cool.
That would be good. Actually, that's a good place for him to be.
To put him in some tournament matches, get him in some him with some good matchups to remind people how good he is. And so I would like to see him there. Well,
yeah, because it's the perfect place to reintroduce him to fans. You need people like that in the situation. The tournament can't just be full of like every single headliner that you have. It has to have some other strong wrestlers on it that are story builders. Like, he's perfect.
Yeah, and it seems they're building a new character with him where he's somebody who's like the fake happy person, like you can't really trust. Like, he's not, I don't think he's going to come out looking like a baby face, but I think he's actually a heel because of like the way, like if you listen to the things
he's like nice to your face, but really he's like
he's basically
like they're building it's mean. He's a mean girl.
Yes, you're right. And so I hope this is where they're bringing him back. I would love to see him.
He could do he could do any gimmick he wanted. So that'd be hilarious, actually.
Yes.
It's kind of like with Christopher Daniels has been like altering his thing forever, but he's been doing a good job of doing that too.
Yes. Now he has facial hair. So now, he's official. He's official. He has facial hair. And I love the way they've been using Brandon Cutler. Brandon Cutler is so underrated. He's really funny. Like, and if you watch BTE, then I think most of us are familiar with how funny he really is. But like having him kind of step in on, like they did a thing with him last night that was really funny. And then he cut a promo afterwards. It was like a backstage exclusive, and he's so dramatic, but it was really funny. Like the way he played into it. Like, I think Cutler's like super underrated, and he's a lot of fun. And I'm glad that they found some way to use him on TV.
He's one of those like
without him he's not taking away from, he's not taking away roster spots or TV time, like a lot of TV time. And they only put him in there for just a couple minutes. He serves his purpose, and then he's off the screen, and you don't have to it's not like a QT Marshall type of thing.
He's an awesome recurring character that you want to have on the thing the whole time because he's like a definite, like, we love you and you're hilarious and fun. And I like that he's like done like alterations, but he's done just different evolutions of what he's always done with that. And because they're such good friends, they always seem to like figure that out.
Yeah. They do. Yeah, they see. And so, I thought that was like the perfect way to bring him back to TV. And he's not somebody who's going to be on there all the time, and you don't have to worry about like that.
Well, and it's so funny because Bob asked me, he was like, do you just think he's like, I just get to hang out with my best friends and do whatever? And I was like,
he's too contract.
If you read their book, he has known them for an insanely long time.
Yeah, like decades.
So, I mean,
he's the perfect person to have.
Great work if you can get it, right? I mean,
right. And the version that we are getting currently of the Young Bucks, and like he plays that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he plays perfectly into it. And again, he's on TV for like 2 or 3 minutes. Like he got a Scissor Me Timbers last night. Like he served his purpose. He did.
Some people, you get the perfect dose of him.
And then that's it. And then he was out there for like altogether maybe 5 minutes. And then they brought in the Christopher Daniels type of stuff, and then you had the little backstage thing, and then that was it. And it told the story, and it helped. And so I think that was a really cool thing. Eddie brings up the point that Sammy Guevara has wasted every opportunity he's given. Here, Max Caster can't be trusted. They are liabilities. I would say that Max Caster's mouth is more of a liability than anything, but Sammy has been in some unfortunate situations and has not helped himself out either. So that is certainly something to keep in mind when he comes back, for sure.
You can't go around punching your coworkers as part of my
Even though he was goaded into it by a person who was trying to get fired, and it didn't work, and then he sat at home for months.
The whole thing,
that whole situation was a mess. Like he should have known. He should have known better because he's a grown man. But also, he played right into what Andrade was doing. And so he's just as guilty for getting physical. Like,
but there have been other altercations. I don't even think that's it. I hope he can, if he does come back and he is healthy, I hope he can keep it together. I hope he can.
And Eddie brings up a good point that he's the father. He has to grow up. Yeah,
that's 100%. You know what? That's exactly it. And
he's been off of TV because he concussed Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy is no longer with the company. Friday was his last day.
Even stuff like when he got hurt at Blood and Guts here in Detroit. I mean, he was doing stuff that was just. I mean, there's high spots and there's just crazy for crazy's sake, and you got to be careful.
Well, because Darby already does that, and so Sammy, it's like they're trying because they're pillars.
Yeah,
they're trying to one up each other almost. Like I don't even know if it's a conscious thing. But it definitely kind of seems like
they don't need to do that, and they are, and they're going to end up hurting themselves or potentially somebody else, and that doesn't.
And like Eddie said, he's a new father. Ty is working her way back. She's been trying to get back into to.
Well, you're now modeling your behavior for a human, so you might want to try and do some maturing on your own.
Yes.
And actually, frankly, he's got a ton of talent. So if he could pull it together and be a professional, he could go super far.
Yeah. Agreed.
Super athletic. He's got charisma. They both could. They're both.
Yeah, and I think Ty would be, she would be a good addition, like not addition, but to welcome her back to the women's division and doing some of the stuff in there, because Anna's kind of been doing her own thing, and Anna has improved a lot doing stuff with working with especially working with the Japanese women and working down in ROH and getting in reps down there. I could see Ty being somebody that they use her some in ROH to kind of get her back in a swing of things, and then bring her back. But her and so there's always that they could put her back with Ty and do some tag team stuff, and or do like a faction thing or something of that nature. But yeah, so that also just bringing up Jeff Hardy brings us into the next thing.
Go. Perfect.
So Jeff Hardy's contract ended on Friday. He has not been seen on AEW television since he's been concussed, and had his nose broken by Sammy Guevara. And so there was that whole situation. And then clearly the personal situation,
all the other stuff.
Yeah, all the other stuff.
And injuries.
And so Friday was AEW, TNA's Against All Odds pay-per-view. And Matt Hardy has been back there for about 2 months now. I am 7 episodes behind, so I've kind of paid it to. There's been so much.
He's broken Matt again, right?
He is broken Matt again, which I'm excited about because I know it's from 2017 and maybe it's
he
not
tweeted like Brother Nero is back or something like that.
Yeah, and so
I was like, okay.
I feel like for all of the things, like TNA is a mess right now, and I think that they need things that will keep people tuning back in, and the Broken Universe stuff works for TNA.
Well, it worked for them before.
Yeah, and I think, and Matt has said, I haven't been champion as Broken Matt yet, so he had a title shot against Moose, and I don't know exactly what happened, but he lost. He did not. Moose is still their champion. I don't know why are they so dedicated to Moose, but they're doing the story. It's the system. It's Moose, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, and Brian Myers are the system. And they're I think, wasn't that Motor City's last match in TNA? I think was against Eddie Edwards and Brian.
Please join Mike Gilbert on Impact on Mike and GD channel.
Yeah, so they there's like TNA has some stuff going on, like they're doing some stuff with WWE, which is great for Jordan, but none of those fans they saw Jordan on TNA, I mean NXT, but then none of them went and watched TNA. Like it didn't translate. She seems to be hinting about Natty coming over, which I think Jordan versus Natty, like that's a match I want to see. I love both of them. Natty has said, I'm looking for a change. Jordan said that on Friday. She tweeted it. She capitalized certain letters. Seems to be she had an open challenge, and I know that Tatum Paxley, who from NXT, came in, and from everything that I saw a lot of positive things about Tatum, and I've heard that I saw some people say that's the best match Tatum has ever had. I don't know much because I don't watch NXT. I don't know much about her, but apparently she's heavily influenced by Daphne, and she does Daphne's finisher called the lobotomy, and TNA was talking about that because obviously that's where Daphne spent a good chunk of her career, and she did a lot for the Knockouts division, and so apparently they focused on that some, which I thought was really cool. And then so then after I watched the video of Jeff Hardy's return, so after the match, because they brought in. I haven't seen it, but Thursday night, so the night leading up to it, they did something at the Hardy compound, and they, all the kids were involved in it. I'm not sure because I've only seen part of the clip. It looks like Rebby and Gothic Baby might have killed Alicia Edwards. She was put under a guillotine, which is funny because Rebby has this guillotine. It's not a real guillotine. It's the part that's supposed to be the blade is cardboard, but people constantly comment on Rebby's stuff and was like, I can't believe you have a guillotine with a baby around. And she's like, it's like she had to do a whole video to show like this is not real, it's fake. So they used the guillotine on Thursday. So I saw that part. I do know that during the match on Friday, Matt accidentally speared Rebby through a table because Moose moved out of the way. So I know that happened. And then, so then afterwards, Jeff Hardy comes out and he gets this gigantic pop, which I knew he would because Jeff gets the pop wherever he goes, and TNA loves him. And so they had that, and like they're working with Ryan Nemeth has been over there with Nick apparently because they're not using him in AEW. So I don't know if he's officially signed to TNA and done with AEW, but he's been over there with his brother. He's been on TV. They've had tag team matches. He was part of it. I do know TNA is such a mess. So Joe Hendry, obviously getting a ton of buzz outside of TNA. Like he was really smart. So Saturday Clash at the Castle was in Scotland. He bought a billboard near the venue that is just that picture that he keeps posting with a white background and the blue shirt. Just on there. And at first I thought people were photoshopping it, and then he was just retweeting it. But then people were taking videos. So he or TNA bought a billboard with his face on it right there near the WWE arena on the Ovo Hydro, which I thought was really smart. So Friday, and he went down and he trained with Natty, and Natty posted the video of it, and it got like a ton of views on it. They had Joe Hendry lose.
I heard. To
set up a match with Ace Steel and Kazarian.
It's been a really bad weekend to be a Scottish wrestler.
Unless you're Alba Fire and Isla Dawn because they won the tag team titles.
Okay, good. So I guess.
They are Scottish. And then it came at they made some references to it, but I wasn't sure until afterwards. I believe it was Alba Fire? I believe it was her mother passed 2 days before that match. And she went. Triple H says, I listened to the press conference. He said that they were already planned to win. They didn't just like do that as a consolation type of thing to make, that type of thing. It was apparently pre-planned. So they are those two Scottish wrestlers, good for them. The rest of the Scottish wrestlers, not so much. But yeah, so TNA is just, I don't know what they're doing. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And it's also come out, apparently, Scott D'Amore has a 1-year non-compete.
Oh, good Lord.
Which
you better hope that court case pushes through where that doesn't
yeah, right? Yeah, I don't know why, which is kind of weird because I think they got rid of him to not pay him because they didn't really want to pay him and they didn't want him involved, and he tried to buy TNA, but then they're paying him in a non-compete to not work for a year. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Weird.
And so, yeah, it's just TNA is just, I don't know what they're doing over there. And then you've got Mustafa there, who's, Mustafa, and, he's winning and things like that. But then, like, how long can he stay? Like, does he, and he told, I saw the other day, he said that he was weighing option C, which is the possibility that he would give up the X Division title to get a shot at the world title. So perhaps that's why Moose retained. Maybe Mustafa is going to be TNA world champion for a little bit. I don't know what they're doing. It's just, and again, I haven't watched in like 7 weeks because I have a million other things to watch.
Right.
And now I've got to the point, and I already watched what I wanted to watch anyway, but now like Motor City's gone. So now it's like time in women's matches and watching like Mustafa and the broken mat. I've heard though that the broken mat stuff has been good, that the stuff that they've done so far has been good. And so I guess it's, better than, obviously it's working now, or it seems to be. So they have like little glimmers of good things happening, but then they have more of a mess, it seems like. And like, I saw something they did with Kushida where he because Jonathan Gresham has black ink now, like squid ink type of thing. Okay. And Kushida came, but he returned because he was in BOSJ, and he returned, and there's like a clip of him, and he was taking like a vial out of his mouth so that he, I guess, can test it and see what it is. And he was like wearing a doctor's, I don't know what the fuck. I'm like, what are you doing to Kushida? Actually, what are you doing to Jonathan Gresham at that? It's just,
what are you doing? What are you just doing? End the sentence.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know.
What are you doing?
I need to get caught up so I have a little bit better idea of what's going on.
This is like TNA goes under Quake 2. This sounds like why people ran away from their product the last time, was because like the people who came in charge of it didn't care about wrestling. They didn't know anything about wrestling. They didn't. Yeah, I don't know. That sucks. It's too bad because like a year or two ago, we were all actually tuning in and we were all watching regularly, and they had like Jay White was on there and Kenny Omega was on there, and
Jay and Juice were doing stuff on there. Jay and David Finlay were doing stuff before David Finlay turned heel. Like, they've had some really good stuff there. Knockouts division, was great.
The Knockouts, of course.
And then it's just, and there was all this excitement, and then they fired Scott, and it's just gone completely downhill. They don't seem to know what they're doing with anything. They don't seem to care because they're not going to sell it off, because I guess it brings them in some sort of money. And then you have Slammiversary sold 3,000 tickets in its first week, which for them is really good. So there was a lot of buzz with that. But then you do all this weird, insane shit. And I'm like, how do you expect to keep the momentum up? And it sucks because there's some really talented people over there. And, we want TNA to exist because more wrestling jobs for everybody. And we talk about that all the time. But then on the other hand, it's just you're not really giving people, unless they're TNA diehards, you're not giving them any reason to watch. That's why I can be okay being 7 weeks behind, because it's not a priority. I had BOSJ to watch.
And there's more stuff coming up too. So
why there's not any? I mean, I will get caught up on it, but there's literally 7 episodes sitting on my DVR right now, and I will just fast forward pretty much just to time the women's matches and to see whatever this broken mat stuff is, because I think right around where the last episode I watched was right when he was getting ready to come in, like they were hinting at him coming in. So I need to get caught up, and I'm going to go over here because there's some comments about TNA. Yeah, Eddie says that what's the TNA end game because the creative is trash and they're banking on the Hardys and Nemeth Brothers in 2024. I mean, the Hardys are always going to be a draw. I mean, if they had been given, would they have been a huge draw in AEW? I don't know, because like obviously it got derailed because of some of Jeff Hardy's actions. I think had they stayed on track, it would be a completely different story about what happened with them, especially because we were supposed to get the Hardys versus the Young Bucks that was it. And from what Matt Hardy says, they were going to win the titles. We were going to have a Hardy Boy. Maybe it wouldn't have been a long reign, but like that's what the plan was. But for TNA, they're good for TNA because they will be draws for TNA. People will go see it. People lost it when Jeff came out the other day. Like Jeff will always be popular. Like he always will be. But yeah, I don't know what TNA is doing. I think they don't know what they're doing. Nikki said, I don't care. I love Broken Matt. I appreciate everything he puts into it. Exactly. And I was talking to a friend the other day and he made a really good point that Matt Hardy is a person who has to wrestle just because he's like Rhino, where they have to. That's them. That's what they do. They want to put the effort into it. They don't necessarily go to the place where they're going to make the most money. They go where they can be creative and do what they want to do. And Matt is when it comes to wrestling, he's a very creative person. He brings it. I think that's why Broken Matt has worked when it probably shouldn't have, is because of what he puts into it. But like Nikki and I were talking about it, like Jeff has other creative outlets where he's an artist and he's also a musician. And so he has these other outlets that he can do in addition to wrestling, where Matt just has wrestling. Like that's what his brain wants to do. And so I think that Matt Hardy will wrestle as long as it's like that he can possibly wrestle. I think he will be. And then when he can't, he will probably be an agent or a producer and will probably work in some form of the wrestling business forever, I think. And so, but I think TNA is a good place for that. And so hopefully, as long as he's happy there, we have some comments about TNA is not going to sell to WWE, or WWE is not going to buy them. I don't think. There was a really good conversation about that actually on this network between it was Garrett and I think he was talking to somebody the other day, and there's actually a clip on here, and they were talking about why that's not going to happen, because TKO is not going to do that. TKO is not going to take on another wrestling property. Brad brings up a good point. Anytime someone talks about bringing in D'Amore, which they can't do to his non-compete, I always remember he pushed Moose over Josh Alexander and didn't want Kenny versus Josh. Yeah, he's made some questionable decisions, but he's also part of the reason the women thrive so well there. And even Deanna and I talked about that. And she's talked about how like he is very respectful of women's wrestling and giving them not priority, but like putting focus on them and things like that. And you could also, but I agree with that. And I think that is something to keep in mind. But I think all bookers have made some really dumb decisions. I mean, again, every time people talk about all the stuff Rocky Romero is doing, which he's doing a lot of great things. He booked Marty Scurll in New Japan Strong. And the only reason they pulled those matches is because fans lost their shit on him. So Rocky Romero is also not perfect. And there are also things, but I think that is something to bring up, because Brad is right. People want to be nostalgic and look at all the good things, but there are also some really dumb things. And those are two really dumb things. So I would agree with Brad. With that. He says that Ryan hasn't been under a contract with AEW for a very long time. I thought that when they let Peter Avalon go that they had re-signed Ryan, but maybe I'm incorrect, or maybe they had re-signed him and he's been gone since, like maybe it's expired since then. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Let's see here. Brad says that Kushida will make a vaccine against Gresham, but since they're wrestlers, no one will take it, and they'll all they'll all be changed my ink. Maybe that's what, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And Gray says that he should be broken body man. listen, at this rate, it might not be too far
It'll
off.
be like Weekend at Bernie's when he's gone. They'll keep doing the broken universe, but he'll just be. I mean, they had a funeral for a drone. They can work something out.
This is true. This is very true. That's a
I
good
think, and I don't know. I feel like Matt would want that.
I think, yeah, probably so.
That'd be a good legacy for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's time to get to the G1 Climax 34 entrance. Neither of us have the graphics to put on the screen. I can look at them, but these came out like literally when they announced this, it was 3 a.m. Eastern when these came up. And then for whatever reason, I didn't think, hey, let's grab some, because I didn't see graphics.
I know why I thought that. I thought Jeremy and Steven have this covered.
They will, which is what I was going to say. If you want more in-depth coverage of the G1, then definitely turn into Speaking of Strong Style on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, because I know they're then, and I think that, and they probably watched the NJ Soul show, which is that happened this morning, and is where this was announced, and they also and they can explain why maybe some questionable decisions were made, because last week we saw LIJ win the Never Open 6-man titles, and then they lost them this morning back to Tana, Oleg, and it wasn't Yano, was it?
Yes.
Is it Yano?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lost them back a week later. Apparently, Jeremy says it's because they had to do something, and Suji had to pin Tana and head of the G1, but if Tana is not going to be in the G1, I asked him why that even matters. But I'm sure he will be more. He'll have a more in-depth reason on why that could have happened, and I'm sure there will be. Colin is here, who was very late. That's okay. Better late than never. He said he watched most of that show, and yes, it is Yano. Okay, that's what I thought, and then I was like, "Wait, am I confusing it with something else?" Which is certainly
no, I
possible.
do it. It made me remember the tweet when I
and
that you guys were talking about.
I have not seen the results, but I know. Well, and I assume I know what happened. But there was the steel cage match. Was the main event between El Desperado and Show was happening today. Will happen this morning, and so I've heard that match was really good. I saw a couple people say it was really good. I haven't seen a whole lot of talk about it. So we'll probably at least check that out. Oh, and then I know they did, actually I didn't see the results of this either. I know that they did Sonata versus David Finlay for the championship. I know that happened. I do know that War Dogs retained their tag team titles. I saw that. I feel like, and then also Shota. Shooter was supposed to be in a 6-man match, but before the All Together, is that the name of the show that they did with the other Japanese companies?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before that, he was training for it, and his back seized up, and sounds like it was some kind of a freak accident from what Walker says, and so he was not able to compete in this morning's match, and so they had to alter it. Colin says he has not seen the main event yet, so no spoilers for that because we didn't see it, and so we won't be spoiling that for you, at least on our end, because we didn't see it. But yeah, so they did announce the G1, and I'm looking at. This is from New Japan's website. So it gets underway on July 20th, and we're returning to the 20-man two block format. There's also a playoff phase the last 3 nights, and if you were confused by that, Jeremy and Steven did a really cool breakdown.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
A 45-second clip that's on this very network. It's in our shorts, and you go to Instagram, the reel is there. They break down everything that happens in the new tournament and what that means. They have the graphics that break down the playoff blocks that they're doing, and so there is a little, so it's extremely helpful, and I'm sure that it's gonna get posted a lot between now and the G1 starting, because it's very helpful.
It is very helpful.
And Nikki
I made sure to upload it so I could show it to remind myself.
Yes, I will definitely be looking at it. Nikki said, too bad Brittle Brian isn't going to be in it. I was hoping that he was. I know that's a really strenuous thing, and it's really hard on him, but I really, just before he retires, I would like to see him do a G1, even if it's next year. Maybe if he doesn't do anything at all next year but wrestle in the G1, I would not be mad. I just really want him to be in it. Colin says that he knows who won. It's cool.
Okay, good.
And then Eddie says War Dog should be at Forbidden Door. Sure. I mean, I know a lot of people like them. There's members of the War Dogs that I don't care for, but I believe that you're referring to the two champions, which are Clark Connors and Dan Maloney. I love Clark Connors though. So anytime that when Clark Connors filled in at Forbidden Door, was it the first one that he filled in for? Mm-hmm. And he like showed out, and everybody was like, and we're like, yeah, if you watch Strong, like me and Mel told you,
yeah,
you would love Clark Connors. We told you.
Yep. He was really good that night, because he had to come in for a talk. Was it?
He replaced somebody.
It was either Shooter or it was Hiromu or something like that.
Was it Hiromu? Maybe
someone got sick. It was,
and it was like
end, but it was okay because he destroyed it. So
yeah, he came and just made everybody know who he was, and especially
like, I'm taking this chance
through the table. Yeah, he made the most of that. Yeah, I love Clark Connors. Yeah. He's great. But yeah, War Dogs I could see, and for Forbidden Door, and I think that might be another reason they didn't lose, is I could see them being there, because they've been champions for a while, haven't they? I think. Colin asked if any of us watched Noah. I do not. I
do watch it. I haven't seen the show yet. I do
know what the big match is between WWE and Noah. I did see that because I was still on Twitter, and I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me. The G1, the G1.
And I believe there's Sheik Lee is the one that's from Noah that's going to be in the G1.
Yes, and there's been some stuff going on with him and Naito.
I haven't seen the most recent show, the one that happened, I think, like yesterday or this morning or Friday. But I need to watch that one. I do watch it. I just need to get caught up.
Yes, because I did see. Yeah, I saw that Jake Lee. Yeah, because I watched. Speaking of Strong Style, and I watched it later Friday, and they were talking about how Naito and Jake Lee have been kind of going back and forth, and Naito's just basically been trashing him and talking about how he doesn't know who he is or something like that. And then I think they wrestled on if I'm correct, they wrestled on All Together yesterday.
Yeah, and then they announced the things, and I think they're both in the G1, so they're
in the same block.
So that'll be good.
Nikki said, I like Clark Connors. He talked about not being at New Japan show here because of his back. His back was fucked up. I told him I had the same energy, and he liked a few of his tweets after. Oh, okay. He said it happened. Colin says it happened this morning.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. So G1. So the A block, I think it was Chris Charlton that said it was like a murderer's row. And so we've got, again, sorry, we don't have graphics, but from this graphic that I'm looking at on New Japan's website, it's Shooter, Naito, Shingo Takagi, Sonata, Greatest Okan, Zack Sabre Jr., Gabe Kidd, Jake Lee, and Evil. And then there's an A block qualifier winner, which I think might be further in this, and we'll talk about that, about who is in, who's basically having to wrestle their way into this tournament. And some of the people they picked to have to wrestle their way in is a little surprising, which we'll get to in a second. This is breaking down like Naito this will be his fourth G1 Climax trophy and his second. So it's like it breaks down their history, which is I really like when they do that they break down the G1 history and when they tell you about. So that's really cool. So give me just 1 second. I gotta scroll through all this to see. And then there's Jake Lee. And then the B block, we have ELP, Hiroki Goto, Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, Jeff Cobb, Hinare, who won a title this morning, David Finlay, Ren Narita, and Takeshita is in that block. So Takeshita will be making his debut, as will Jake Lee. And then and this is actually Yuya's. I just was saying that this is Yuya's debut entry as well. Hold on one second. I will tell you if hopefully this has the thing about the play. Is this the play in here? Yeah. So so they're gonna have a tournament to determine who gets the last A block spot, the last B block spot. Yep. The finals will be July 5th. So people who have to fight their way in the A block, it is between Ishii, Yoshihashi, Callum Newman, Kenta, Chase Owens, and Yujiro. And then the B block is Tana, Toriano, Bolton Oleg, Kojima, Taichi, and TJP are having to fight their way in. And I was surprised to see Ishii on there. I mean, I know the blocks are both stacked, but having a G1 without Ishii just doesn't feel right to me. It just feels really weird. But then somebody else, I think it was Josiah, pointed out that if Tana if he doesn't win his way in, it'll be the first time in like 20 years that he's not been in a G1, which is crazy to think about. But then on the
even
other
though
hand,
he slipped in at the end of his little thingy that he still wanted to be IWGP champion again. So
did. Oh, Tana and his knees probably need a break and not be in the G1. He
slipped that in there at the end. I don't know if everyone caught that, but he did say at the end of that press. So I'm like,
oh, Tana.
Okay.
Oh, President Tana. I love him, but
I love you,
like,
but just stop. I mean, be President Tana. It's okay.
Nikki said that, I mean, that's not the only reason I like him. I just realized how that sounded. I thought that was cool of him. Yes, Clark is cool. Yeah, so this G1, and then it feels weird to not have, if you don't have Yano in the G1.
Yeah, like, that is kind of weird.
Yano, you have to get.
Although they are, I guess, trying to go away from the outside interference and the shenanigans a little bit. So
yeah,
maybe
I was gonna say Yano, you have to kind of do. He always has like the 1 or 2 upset victories. Obviously, this is why John Moxley fears him. Is probably why John Moxley's not even in the G1. Is because he was afraid that Yano was gonna be in it, and Yano might not even be in it now. But then Yano is usually somebody that takes a lot of the losses to build up other people's records. I mean, it's kind of what Chase Owens does, but I hope that Chase Owens is not in it because there's lots of reasons I don't care for him, but I hope he's not in it. But I don't think Kojima wins his way in either, just because he's MLW's champion and he wrestles there every single month. And I don't know, not that they couldn't give him the time off, but I just feel like he's doing his own thing, and I love Kojima, but he doesn't necessarily have to be in this tournament either, especially because he's got all his other stuff that he's doing. So there's that. I mean, I kind of wonder if they're going to put Bolton in there, because they're bringing Oleg one that he's got. He's a 2-time champion since they won their titles back, and they definitely are pushing him a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say they do seem to have elevated him quite a bit, so that might be. Yeah, to make it really legitimate, so that it feels like he should definitely be there. Maybe they
and having him
like more
win his way in, I guess, would make sense.
Make more sense for someone like him. It would make sense to win their way in.
And then, so looking at this other one, like, so if it isn't Ishii who wins his way in, I mean, there is Yoshihashi, who's improved so much the last few years. But do they I don't think that they're going to put Callum in this soon. I feel like it's a little too early for that. I mean, Callum is very good. I saw him for the first time when he was like 17, and I know he's improved, but I feel like that maybe they could do Callum and Oleg, I guess, but I kind of feel like maybe Callum doesn't get in this year. And then, so do you give that spot to, not give, but is Kenta the one who earns that spot? Like, just looking at this list, I mean, there's Yujiro, who could take a bunch of losses, which is Chase can do the same thing. I I don't know.
He did say he was focusing on younger talent, so maybe that's the way to legitimize those two entrants.
That's true. That's a good point. I'd forgotten about that. So yeah, they could put Callum in there then to focus on the younger talent to build them up, which I guess
would be new names. Those are two new names.
Yeah, very new names. Yeah, and then
who the heck are these guys?
And you can see them having in these solid matches, but they don't even have to. I mean, you don't even have to have them finish that well, really. I mean, it's not going to hurt.
They've had young participants who've done like pretty well, but I mean, even Hangman had his like first few where he didn't do great. There was that whole storyline where he like didn't win one match for such a long time, and then
right. Yeah, so you could kind of tell those stories. So yeah, maybe they do go with the two young guys here, and it will be very weird to have I guess it would still be weird to have one without Tana, but to me, having one without Ishii, he always has really great G1 matches too, and I can't. It's hard to imagine. And again, like I get going to the building up the younger guys, but it's Ishii. But then I like looking at who's in this tournament. Like I personally would probably pick him over like Gabe Kidd or something like that.
But also like beating someone like him or getting through a tournament with someone like him legitimizes it more. So
right, exactly. So
because it is him, and it is gonna keep him out of the. I mean, this is a guy that kept Ishii out of the GY.
Right. So we could see Ishii go all the way to the finals, and like you said, he's the one. Like this is the guy that kept Ishii out of it. That's definitely something they could do to kind of legitimize them more. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, just looking like I think I'm excited about.
Not that I don't want him in there because obviously I want him to wrestle all the time, but
yes.
I mean, if you're just listening to what Tanahashi said with his 10-point plan and all his things, then theoretically it might be something like that.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I had forgotten about that. So I think you could, that's a story they could tell that, you keep these big guys, you keep these veterans out. And
you have to have something to do for 8 weeks. So.
Right. And that's the story you can tell. And okay, so if it is Oleg and Newman who get these two spots, then like what happens to them? They're the babies, and these veterans who are, you're in there like, Callum would be in there with like Shingo Takagi, and like you have these really big, you've got Naito in there. And you've got Zack Sabre Jr., who's the former champion. Like you have
Cobb's in there. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and then you've got an Evil. Obviously, there's that whole thing. And then how do that'll be another thing is to see how Evil does. Like if they are serious about this House of Torture stuff, like do they ban?
Sounds like they are.
So do they ban them from being their seconds out there? Like of course they could do like the tag, because did they? During last year's G1, did they do the tag team stuff too? Because I know they did later on in BOSJ this year where they had like
I can't remember.
And so I was like, so I guess like they could do like the House of Torture tag matches like on the off nights, but yeah, it will be interesting to see if they and it sounds kind of like you said that's where they're heading, is they're not going to allow House of Torture to be ringside, and so Evil's going to have to win these matches on his own, which he can. Like we've seen Evil when he was in LIJ. Brad says no, Yano means no night off match.
True story.
That is fair.
Dang it.
I love him so much though.
I know, me too. I get it
so much.
I'm just interested. I'm interested to see what Tana has up his presidential sleeve.
Now that you say that, I am kind of leaning more towards the young guns when their way in, and then they have to prove themselves. Like that's just the beginning, is winning your way in. Now you have to go.
Now you have to go do the G1.
You have to go through this grueling 3-week tournament against some of New Japan's very best, and they're gonna use that against you. You are babies and have never been in this tournament before, and you don't know what you're in for, and we're going to make examples out of you, and we're going to make sure that you get 0 or 2 points in this tournament. Like, who do you think you are coming into our tournament? And keeping Ishii out and keeping President Tana out. And so I definitely could see that be being how they go here. Because I was looking, I overlooked Callum because I was like, oh, he's new, he's too soon for him. But with the way Tana is talking about using talent, then I could definitely. And I think that maybe that's also kind of what happens in the tournament, that they're going to look past Callum. They're like, he's new. There is no way he's going to beat me. There's no way he's going to win this tournament to even win a spot in there. And maybe that underestimation is how he gets further along in here. And you've got, because Great-O-Khan is in it, and Greatest-O-Khan is in United Empire with him. Jeff Cobb is in United Empire with him, so we could get those matchups too. And there he's representing, if he makes it through, then obviously he's representing United Empire. So there's more storylines there, and I'm very intrigued with how this plays out. And I kind of do like the spot of playing it, like having somebody having play-in spots, and then it'll be interesting to see how it plays out later on when we get to the playoff spots towards the end of the tournament. It'll be really interesting. Brad said, can we get anyone else besides Jake Lee? He's negative charisma.
It is what it is. They've got their thing going. He'll be all right. Maybe
maybe
it'll be helpful.
A lot about Jake Lee. I hear his name a lot. I haven't seen him wrestle, and I've heard that he's good. He's all right. He's not like the top. He wouldn't be like the first Noah wrestler I've thought of, but it is what it is. Like, he's on the roster. He's a good wrestler. He's fine. He should be. This actually probably be good for him, to be perfectly honest. And it'll be good for their relationship if they're like serious about it. They need to have someone in there. So, because he could be someone, he's newer to people, I guess, a little bit. So it could be some way of getting people's eyes on the product. I don't know. Yeah. And Brad also brings up the point that this is supposed to be Naito, not national. I was trying to figure that out. I was like, what am I missing in New Japan? I was like, is that somebody's nickname? But Naito has a story with Newman right now, which yes, I have heard that there is that going on as well. And he would be, if he wins his way in, he would be in Naito's block along with Jake Lee, who's
there
also in that block.
Well, maybe you can, just enjoy seeing people kick his ass. There you go.
Yeah. Colin says Abima makes the stupidest decisions. By the way, they only make their shows available in selected markets. So if you live outside the US, you won't get to see the AJ match and Noah on July 13th. Oh, well, that sucks. And I've heard a lot of people, because that match is happening the same day as Io versus Utami at the Marigold show, is the same day as the AJ match. And somebody was like, this is going to be, and then somebody else was talking about how they're watching those two matches, but then also the night before is the big Prestige show, which has insane matches on it. It's July the 12th here. And that's the one where Chris Sabin is facing Alex Shelley. They're doing Blackheart, Leo Rush versus Amazing Red, which is incredible. There's, I think Masha's on that. There's like some really, I can't even remember them all. There's some incredible matches on that show. And he was like, I have to watch that the next morning. They were like, now I have to watch AJ and Marufuji and Io's match on top of that. So
you have to watch all of those. You're right.
But that really sucks that you can't get into
I didn't realize that. I'm bummed to hear that, because when I saw that matchup, I was hoping it would be on Wrestle Universe. That's a bummer.
That sucks. And Nikki says, yes, that is her birthday, July the 13th. Yeah, because I told her, I was like, hey, AJ's wrestling on your birthday. And then also, I think that's the Fantastica show. Was it Fantastica Mania? Wait, is it Fantastica? The show that they're doing is New Japan show. It's in the US, and like, originally they made it seem like I guess they changed it. It was supposed to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechicero. And I was so excited about that, because when Hechicero first came to AEW, somebody was like, I haven't seen him before, who is somebody who's comparable to him. And they said that Hechicero is ZSJ if he was into music less.
Ha!
And so I saw we were getting that, but now it's a tag match. It's ZSJ and Bad Dude Tito versus Hechicero, and I can't remember who his partner is. But then, like, there's a ton of really good matches on that show, and that's also going to be on Nikki's birthday. Nikki said, I was hoping to go to a live wrestling on my birthday, but I might just have to settle on just watching it.
Oh, bummer. I'll have to watch it at my house and eat food that I like.
Yeah.
That's good for me.
Colin says, can anyone explain why Abima do what they do? I don't get it. I do not have the answers for you. That might be a
just
question.
Like the Japanese companies.
That might be a question for Jeremy and Steven. Oh, Brad says that it's Virus, I think who is Hechisero's opponent.
Nice. Interesting.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I mean, they who knows?
They don't know. Maybe they're like TNA. They don't know. They just do things for the hell of it.
They're better than TNA, at least. I mean, that's certainly.
They throw things at the wall,
and they have way better. Like their wrestlers are like doing way like better matches right now. It's just that sometimes they do make weird decisions about how they use their talent. So.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me.
But they own a lot of promotions. I don't know if they can like. Because Abima is like they own like DDT, and I'm pretty sure they run Wrestle Universe is the way it's like TV Asahi owns like New Japan, and it's a similar idea, I think. Or is it Cyber Agent? But anyway, it's regardless. I wish I could, because they have such great wrestlers and they have a really good product, but sometimes it's like what just happened. So
yeah. Nikki said, I thought Brad was saying that a virus is why Abima does what they do.
That could be it, though. That's it.
I mean, perhaps. Maybe it's the answer to both questions.
Brad was right, and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe it's both things. Maybe Abima has a virus, and then Virus is Hechisero's partner. I will say, I was so excited for Hechicero versus Dalton Castle, and everybody, there was a bunch of people talking about how excited they were, and then it was like a 4-minute match, and I was very mad. And I finally got Anthony Henry versus Kyle O'Reilly. I've been wanting this match for so long, and they put it later in the show, and I told my editor, I said, watch, they're going to give this match 3 minutes. They got 3 minutes on the dot.
Wow.
But they did get a lot of kicks in, which is what I wanted, because Anthony Henry kicks extremely hard, and I think he doesn't get to show that a lot, especially, I mean, he does some in ROH, but like if you see him on the indies and in other things, like Kyle is known for his kicks, and his legs are weapons, and he is known for that. Anthony Henry kicks just as hard, which is one of the reasons I wanted this match. I was like, I just want them to kick the hell out of each other. And so I did at least get that. And Anthony did get in some offense in that 3 minutes. So at least in my 3 minutes, I got that. I was at least happy. And I was like, that's all I wanted was a bunch of kicks. I saw somebody who was like, man, I wish this match had got like 10 minutes more. Me too. But you know. Yes, exactly. Brad said just when Kyle O'Reilly and Anthony was getting good, it ended. I'm like, WTF. Yes, I was so mad that I'm glad that I got it, but it was just a tease, and now I'm like, nope, I need the full match. I need longer than 3, like I need more than that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it did. It took them a bit to get cooking. They were kind of filling, and they did a lot of that stuff where they're filling each other out. Yeah, they were like filling each other out and trying to see who was going to be the one to take the other one down, because they have a lot of similar wrestling styles, and so you could see that. And then they finally get going. Anthony got in some offense. He got in some really hard kicks. Kyle did the same thing, and then it was over, and it was just like, on the one hand, I'm very glad that I got it, but then I'm hoping that will make people be exactly what Nikki said, run it back.
Yeah, they should run it back. And then hopefully, and JD Drake quote tweet, because JD wrestled Kyle a few weeks ago when Anthony was healing, is how they're referring to it as. They're called on TV. They're like, oh, he was out with an injury. Yes, he was, but there were some other things that happened, but we're not going to talk about that on TV. But Drake was saying something about how Kyle O'Reilly can just sneak up on you, and he was like, it happened to me. So, but yes, that's good. And Nikki, Brad said to Nikki, why not insert the why not both gif for that. Shane Taylor was on TV last night. He was not. It was Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin, and everybody was banned from ringside, so Shane Taylor Promotions could not get involved, and neither could Action Andretti and Darius Martin. And then following the match, Shane Taylor and Anthony Ogogo got involved, so that made Darius and Action Andretti got involved,
And then when that didn't work, Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic came down.
My goodness.
Yes. So they were, and unfortunately, Lee Moriarty did not. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling Collision for you because I know you didn't see it.
That's fine. That's fine.
But Lee Moriarty and Dante Martin was really good, and it was for the winner got to get is in that ladder match for the TNT Championship at Forbidden Door, and Dante won. He made his way through, so they're adding him in, and Nikki was like, should he be in another ladder match? Because he got
fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, there. But I mean,
I don't
what are you
need
going
to see that ever
again? We don't need to see that. But on the other hand, like injuries can happen anywhere. So
I know.
But yeah, that wasn't. That was one of those matches that I didn't care who won because I love them both, and I would have been happy with either one winning. And the match was really good. It was a lot of fun. Collision was really good last night. It was obviously it was a 1-year anniversary show. Deanna and Thunder Rosa got 10 and a half minutes for their not street fight, their no DQ match, and there was a really cool spot that happened that I keep seeing. Like like Nyla was talking about it. Athena was talking about it. Other people who like don't watch the show were talking about that spot. So the women I thought they killed it. They had I was really happy for them to get that no DQ match. And it'll be interesting to see if that story is done for now, which I think it might be, but it's something that they can come back to later. I think if they're done with that story for now and kind of want to move them into different directions, but it was really cool. It was a really good show. And then there was I don't want to give too much away, but there was something that happened with Buddy Matthews for whatever reason. I'm really good at calling him by his name, but for last night, for whatever reason, every single time I talked about him, I said Murphy, and I was typing it out, and I realized I typed Murphy like 4 times. So I went to the commercial break and fixed it and said, and then went right back to it because I was typing, and then I'm like, Murphy, and I was like, no. And then I was saying something to Nikki, and I was like, what did Murphy just do? And she's like, Matthews, and I was like, why? This for whatever reason last night, my
brains are weird. Brains get stuck. They do. They literally get stuck. They do.
They're like, no, and I was like, I'm so good about not calling him that. So Colin said Alex Windsor got the pin in her match, which was great. Yeah, Alex Windsor and Tony Storm wrestled on Rampage too, which was. That was a really, really good match. I really enjoyed that. I hope that they bring Alex back more often. She's very good. And Brad said that table spot Rosa did could have gone really wrong, and I'm happy she nailed it. Yeah, it could have been bad, but she nailed it, and that's what people are talking about. I've seen that clip so many times. Nikki said that Rosa spot was awesome. And so yes, definitely go check that out. So whenever you get to watch Collision, you'll have some good stuff to.
It's in the queue of things.
I know how that is.
Wrestling I need to watch.
Whenever you can get to it. It's a really good show. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that covers everything on our list.
Awesome.
And so unless you have anything else you want to talk about,
that's
we will bring when is wait a minute, is next week our Forbidden Door pre-show?
No, it can't be next week, is it?
No, the week after.
Week after. I think it's 2 weeks still. It's 30.
Yeah, it is 2 weeks. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, wait, it's not next weekend. The weekend after is our
No, it's the weekend after. It is.
So as of right now, we have no guests. I know I said that last week, but we have no guests scheduled for next week.
But if someone shows up, we're not going to say no. We like having people on. What can we tell you?
If we say Joe Hendry's name and he appears,
there we go.
then there we will go. And then
he can come yell at the world for losing or whatever.
Brad said it's in 2 weeks and he will be there. That's right. You will be there.
Because it's in your backyard now.
Yes. And Colin has a question for you. He says, what do you make of the great Sayuka? I don't know if I said that right. Character in Noah.
I don't know if I have seen Sakuya yet.
So Sakuya, yeah.
I will have to take a look and get back to you, Colin, because I'm still new to the Noah brand, so I'm trying to learn everybody. I have to watch this times and kind of get caught up. I will get back to you on that one. How about that? Put a pin in it.
David wants to know when you're joining the learning tree.
Never.
Same. Cut that damn tree down. I can't
The
wait.
only thing good about that entire thing is Shane Taylor, in my opinion.
Brian Keith.
I'm sorry. Why do I keep doing that?
Because we were just talking about Shane Taylor.
Brian Keith. I mean, yes, the bounty hunter.
Yeah,
Brian
I'm just
Keith
hoping
is
that
the
Brian
best.
Keith quickly chops down the learning tree.
Me too.
I'm ready for it to go away.
He's like, me too. I find it funny when he says things like, if you want that baby to be smart, you have to make sure he respects Chris Jericho. I'm like,
yeah, that was really great. Like, he's got
at least
really
there's, if you want
lines.
good corn, you got to respect Chris. I'm like, at least there's something.
Yeah,
because they keep putting us through
that's
this.
The other guests are the only thing that keeps me from
not coming around on me. I know some people are like, oh, I'm like, I'm not one of those people. It's not coming around.
Brad says Big Bill and BK are the best parts of that this week. Was actually pretty funny. Yeah. Yes.
They really are.
They are. The two of them
they
are
could really... get rid of, actually, if they could just cut the whole Chris Jericho part out and just leave me that other part, Wardlow and Brian Keith, and I think we'd do good.
And Hassan says hi, hello, welcome. We're actually about to wrap
on
up.
our way out, but it was
to watch the replay. We were joined at the beginning of the show with Darius Lockhart to discuss Ashe 4, and we had a really good conversation with him about a lot of different things in wrestling. And then we got to we went through some other stuff like the Owen Cup and made our predictions about when Hangman may or may not return. Talked about whatever the fuck TNA is doing. Went through the G1 Climax stuff and made a couple predictions about the people who have to win their way in. So we had some good conversations. So hopefully, if you have time, you go back and watch that. But we appreciate you. We are glad that you're here again. Better late than never. Colin was late as well, and so we're glad that you're here.
You're never late. You
arrive precisely when you mean to. As we always say, we are on wizard time, here.
We accept wizard time
because we are on it. So yes, we accept wizard time here.
Okay. Well, I'm good. You're good. We'll be back next Sunday at 1:00.
Yes, Takagi being in the Owen is great.
It is,
I'm
Colin.
so excited.
We are very excited about that.
Yes.
You guys can always follow us on there, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yes, and if you watch us on the replay, we appreciate that too. And again, if you remember, follow Ashe on Twitter, but we will also, from the Powerbombshells account, we will retweet when the tickets go on sale to purchase to watch it, to stream it. There we go. I was going to say watch it online, which is still the same thing, but to stream it next week. So we will make sure that we get that up for you guys.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Let me end the stream. Ha ha.